Like, it's a little late now.
So stupid. Spinal crap. That's somebody on our stream. And he was mean.
Oh.
Yeah.
Should we ban him?
He knows exactly what he did and exactly what he said. And then he tried to redeem himself.
Oh, you responded?
No, then he tried to redeem himself by throwing in, I hate everyone. And I'm like, oh, you're going to take a jab and then try to come in and make it better. Typical man.
Wow.
Typical man.
Wow. I wonder how many we'll get on X today.
I don't know.
If yesterday was just an anomaly or...
I personally think that we need to discuss something. And...
do I want to have this conversation?
Yes, you do, because it involves this.
Oh.
Okay. George in California. Really? Really?
You just might as well subscribe to locals.
Just absolutely, right? You can send the check to Wendy Bell Radio. He's so nice.
Because we have something special. That's autographed.
Look at that.
That's autographed.
Is that the best?
He's in the sink soaking right now.
Chia. I'm so ready. I've got two. I really don't have enthusiasm for Joe. First of all, that looks like Bob Ross, right?
Yeah.
That's him.
It's autographed.
I know. That's the 37th time you've told me it's
the
autographed.
special edition.
This
I paid extra for that.
No, you did not. That's so stupid. If you did, I need to throat punch you because that's fiscally not sound. This, however,
a Chia Pet is.
Is this a representation of Joe Biden before all of the plastic surgery? Because I don't see it. Who is that? I don't see it.
Well, according to
Who's
MSNBC.
MacGyver? Doesn't that look like MacGyver?
It kind of does.
Dean Anderson? Right?
According to MSNBC, he looks younger or looks older now because he's actually working and doing the job.
Oh, yeah. And according to, what's his face, Joe Scarborough, I mean, he's never seen such a sharp
he's
focus. Brilliant.
I just gave
I should have a closer by. But see, I don't want to be tempted to just hit it. George, stop sending me crap.
What?
Okay?
Wow.
Because I like it.
A little too much.
I like it. I'll tell you about my weaknesses. Okay.
I'm sure you don't have any.
Mm-hmm. Any of you out there, if you can find... because Brock and I just spent the last several minutes trying to find it. If you could find the House of Representatives vote on that resolution, the minibus package to spend like another $600 billion of our dollars. We know that 132 Republicans voted yes. I want to see the list. Not like how everyone voted alphabetically, but that, there's got to be a way that shows who voted yes. Because no Republican should vote yes for this.
No.
There should be absolute conversation. This isn't a surprise. You assholes went home for Christmas, for God's sake. You were worried about a damn snowstorm, for God's sake. That never happened.
You got to love, too, that...
You could have been reading.
Fetterman said yes or no, but then I guess he got some pushback, and then he came out with a statement saying, my staffers did that.
Yeah, so you remember that.
So what are they doing?
The $1 million that's packed into... Yeah, that's packed into this for some... sex club for LGBT youth, because that's what we need. We need more
BDSM,
more sex
bondage,
right? I don't even know what it is, but we don't need to spend a freaking $1 million on it.
I'd walk in and be like,
so yesterday we talked about Fetterman putting out a thing, writing to the ranking member saying, look, I'm not down with this. I rescind my vote. I'm not into this. And then Brock finds out yesterday that in fact, it wasn't John Fetterman who's like, look, I'm not down with that. It was somebody of his staff. My suspicion is the people who are the staff members are the ones who are doing all the work.
Yeah.
The members are at orgies and banging each other and doing coke and God knows what, wife swapping.
Leaving it at the White House.
Wife swapping, getting gold bars, taking video of gay sex. I know. If I thought about it, I had to share it with you, so you have to think about it too. You're welcome.
All normal things that happen in everyday life.
Absolutely right. This is totally how I live my life.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello, America, and beyond the fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. Common sense, conservative values, not negotiable. It is what we do. I know all of you are just so excited to see, listen to be a part of a momentous event in our history, starting in just a few hours, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is the State of the Union, and that's the only time I've thought about it in the last, month. We're going to be talking about what's coming up today. We're going to be talking about this minibus vote that the House Republicans thought was a really swell deal, even though it's packed full of pork. We are going to identify all the various true threats to democracy. So if you're ready to be educated, entertained, all of it, you've come to the right place. Pull up a chair. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Now, I'm just going to say this about the State of the Union. I have no interest in it because, quite frankly, it's going to be garbage. It's going to be lies. And we know that there's going to be garbage lies because that is what we've been served for the last 3 years. I'm not hopeful that things are going to change. Is this going to be the unraveling, the official unraveling of Joe Biden? Is he going to be able to manage 2 hours, an hour and a half, whatever the heck it is, of being on his feet, having to interact? Is he going to look like a robot? Or is there enough drugs in the world? Are there enough drugs to pump in this guy so that he can at least be preserved for live television? Well, time will tell. But as I was sitting this morning in the dark, looking over all of the various things going on in the world, all the pants on fire headlines from the news, the media operatives who suck, who you know suck, and everybody else does, it really started to hit me, this whole idea of threats to democracy. You're going to hear more and more the closer we get to November. Threats to democracy. We need to preserve and protect our democracy. It's not really at all what's going on because our democracy is already threatened. And now it's teetering in the balance. You know, when you're not allowed to say things that you want to say or ask questions, that's not a democracy, not even close. And I started thinking about the psychosis behind so much of what's going on the left. And I don't make light of this when I say I do believe there are some diagnosable psychological disorders going on. Because it's very identifiable. Rabid leftists, not only are they deranged when it has to do with Donald Trump, they have a very specific MO. They have this kind of like white savior complex. And I want to explain what that means. It's the white savior complex that got all these liberals years ago into issues regarding race. It was incumbent upon white saviors to come in on the horse and to save the day, to make things equitable, to make things diverse, to make things fair, to make things right. all they've done is made everything a nightmare. And now we're supposed to not see each other through the prism of race. And yet that's all the decisions that they make. Every box that is checked, every student who's being admitted right now to a college or a university in this country, as my third oldest son is waiting for his letters to come in, every single decision that's being made is predicated on the very box checking formula that these people with this savior complex exercise. And I think the psychological portion of it is that they feel as though they have been called to do something magnanimous, that there is a wrong out there that they have to right. And the reality is these people are insecure narcissists who need some place to belong. It's not enough that they would have a husband or a wife or a partner or a family or a job that they're passionate about or a skill or a hobby. They need something that puts them in a position to quote unquote help other people. See, this whole idea, though, of the savior is antithetical to what we believe as common sense conservatives. And that is, leave me the hell alone. When I say it's basic, it's not complicated. That's what it is. Just let me be me. Amos Miller says, just let me grow my food. Let me make my raw milk and other things. Let me do what I do. Truckers out there say, leave me alone. Stop fiddling with my fuel. Stop fiddling with all the regulations. Just let me drive. Let me get stuff from A to B. Let me do what I do. Doctors say the same thing. Stop meddling in medicine. Stop with the paperwork. Stop with the rules and the regulations and the endless litigation. Let me be a doctor to people who need my help. See, that's antithetical to all this over-regulation, all of this interference. And so everything gets gummed up. Nothing works smoothly. There's endless pages of useless chatter when you and I see it quite clearly. Get the hell out of my life. Period. So we're at this weird place now where, and we've lived through a lot of these quote unquote threats to democracy, these reasons why these saviors have to ride in and save the day. These are the people who are staunch with the masks and the gloves and the social distancing and the temperature scanner, right? And the sanitizer on a holster. And don't you come too close to me. And they would sneer at you if you weren't outwardly obeying the edicts of madness. This is how they fall into that trap. They get so deeply ensconced in some reason to come together because their life is woefully lacking. And I think it's lacking that connection. It's lacking that basic human bond. And I believe that this is why we have so many meddlesome leftists out there doing their darndest to make things so difficult. Right? And think about the things that we've been through. I mean, just go back a couple years. COVID, everything about that was an all or nothing. You must do this. And if you don't, then we're going to call you a vaccine denier or a skeptic, or we're going to take you off of social media because you dared to ask a question. It's pathological and predictable. And then you can open the door into everything involving LGBTQ stuff. What rights does somebody who is gay or bisexual or any of the other alphabet, letters, what is it that they cannot do that those of us who are not gay or a member of that community can, right? Really, there's nothing. Sky's the limit. And the pendulum has swung so far that we have to kowtow to every LGBTQ agenda item, no matter how absolutely preposterous. You've seen this. We see it every single day. It's ludicrous. And now we have it with Palestine, right? At what point in a rational person's mind is an October 7th surprise, which wasn't a surprise to a lot of people who went along for it, right? What part of invading villages and neighborhoods and setting things on fire and raping women and beheading babies and indiscriminate murder, how do you get behind that? You have a pathological, psychological savior complex, and we're done. I don't want to see one more protest. I'm not interested in one more stupid sign. I don't care about your slogans. I don't want to see you blocking intersections. Get out. Done. And all these saviors, you're going to hear them on the news today. You hear them every day. Threats to this, threats to that. It's all Donald Trump or it's right-wing conservatives. Honestly, what do we want? Very basic common sense things. Let us live our lives. Let us love our God. Let us carry our guns. Let us protect our family. Let us work hard without your interruption or interference. Let us deal with a small government, not one that steals from us every single week. It's basic. Leave us alone. So today you're going to see this whole narrative unfold. And you're going to hear these calls on the left to do something to protect you from some boogeyman. Booga, 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 right? Oh no. But by the time we're done with this, you're going to be able to diagnose on a dime the talking points, the methods, all of it, so that you hear it like that and know how to respond. We got that. We got a great show for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of sound. I have not had a whole lot of Mike Lee, the senator from Utah, on the program. We do have sound from him, and we've got a great crystal ball looker inner tour. His name is Rich Barris, and he's a wonderful pollster. We're going to have him on coming up in the program as well. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started on the Wendy Bell radio program. You guys, I have to tell you, if you have not listened to what I've said about Cozy Earth, there's somebody in your life, maybe it's you, who's impossible to buy for, right? They have everything. We get this way with our parents, right? What am I going to buy my mom and dad that they couldn't buy for themselves or haven't already? So then that's where the thought comes in. That's where that out of the box thinking comes in. And that's where my appreciation for Cozy Earth comes in, because without them, we can't do this. And I'm going to tell you, CozyEarth.com, promo code Wendy, up to 35% off. The finest, most luxurious, comfortable, breathable, temperature regulating sheets you will ever have in your life. They're not scratchy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you about thread count. I'm going to tell you about their 100-night sleep night guarantee. You don't love them after 99 nights, send them back. They'll give you your money back. Period. The finest materials from viscose, from bamboo, also the sleepwear, right? You want to be comfortable in bed, but you don't want to look like a slob when you move around the house around your family. Boom. They got that. They got the loungewear, and they have the towels. CozyEarth.com, promo code Wendy, up to 35% off. I'm going to be honest with you. This stuff is not cheap, but you get cheap at Ross. You get cheap at Marshall's. You don't get cheap at Cozy Earth. You get the best. Period. My job is done. Hi, everybody. All right, what do we got going on, y'all? Let's see. You're killing it with 1.44 rumbles already?
Remember when we were only getting like 1,000 in the first hour?
Yeah. Something's happened. God, I've got to go to the bathroom.
Already. What do you do when you go to the bathroom on your way back?
I have to water Bob.
Right.
We have to water Bob. See, the chia says you got to put it in water.
And then we need to figure out how to put the seeds on.
And then we've got to make the goulash.
Oh, you have to make something? So you make that into like a paste?
I don't know. I don't have my glasses on. Oh, it's obviously pretty simple because it's just this little dinky. All right. So I will water Bob. We'll take good care of Bob. Joe, not so much. I'm not so interested in watching Joe grow. Blah, blah, blah.
It'll probably fall over.
Well, we'll have to see. We'll do. Right?
You'll put right. It up and it'll just fall over.
Right.
Stare stupidly into the.
Wow. Holy Moses.
You bring out the best in me.
Wow, that's terrible.
What?
That was a really loud sigh. I don't know what you inject into a human being to make them appear lively, to make them seem coherent, to make them focus. I don't know. I hope whatever they have for Joe Biden, they've been cooking up somewhere. Maybe in the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the bat lady there is working on some U.S. taxpayer dollar concoction to keep Joe Biden vertical for the State of the Union tonight. Honest to God, what's the guy going to say to us? I want to finish the job. Oh, gosh. Can you imagine if he's allowed to finish the job? Everybody will be walking around like drug-addicted zombies, right? We'll be living in third world squalor, even in the red states, right? No, thank you. But I think it's very enjoyable to pay attention to what I believe if we're going to talk about the real threats to democracy. We've already been living through it. When your government can come after you, when they can utilize the branches of the federal government that you and I pay for, that, by the way, answer to us, to come after us and to strong arm us and to threaten us and to coerce us into some kind of behavior or bully us with threats. That's not living in a democracy, right? A democracy, at least in a constitutional republic way, in this constitutional republic, you can say what you want. You can act as you want. Yes, there are consequences, but if you don't break the law, you ought not be rounded up, hunted down, right? Indicted, arrested, charged, thrown away forever. We don't have a democracy. We're fighting for the shreds of what's left. And I want you to hear Joe Scarborough, MSNBC. Dude is off his freaking rocker. And he's desperate in this minute. It's about a minute long. And minute and 8 seconds. And he's got a panel who they're obviously talking about Joe Biden, the strong and vigorous leader. Don't let your ears and your eyes deceive you. This guy is a freaking workhorse. In fact, he has never been as crisp, as focused, as bright, as withered as he is right now. Now, not even the panelists. They don't even know what to say. The guys on the panel are like, So if we're going to talk about real threats to democracy, I'm going to say it is your media. Threat number one. Here's Joe Scarborough.
But comparing that guy's mental state, I've said it for years now. He's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years. And, you know, I don't know if people know this or not, Biden used to be a hothead. Sometimes that Irishman would get in front of the reasoning. Sometimes he would say things he didn't want to say. This is... And I don't really, you know what, I don't really care. Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it. And you...
If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it. That's like before somebody hits you and they say, you know what, this hurts me, then it's going to hurt you. And you're like, yeah, I don't think so.
No, that's when someone says, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but.
Oh, yeah, but, bum, bum, bum. Here's the bomb I'm going to drop on you. This is the best version of Joe Biden. And we know. I know. My wife, Mika Brzezinski, the Brzezinskis, they've known him for 50 years. No wonder she's such a hot mess, right? This is and F you if you think otherwise. Well, you know what? He's allowed to say that because I say all the time, we're done. I say all of the time, I'm not going to, there is no negotiating with crazy. There is no compromise. There is no cooperation. There's no meeting in the middle. I ain't pulling my hand out of my pocket and reaching across the aisle to talk to these people. They are unsavable. But this rhetoric, this idea that you should just desperately spread the propaganda that you so want everybody to understand. This sounds like a man who is no dummy. Joe Scarborough is not a dummy. He's just a rabid leftist now. And he's become a miserable, angry, triggered, white savior complex dude. And it's really a shame. He's desperate because he realizes. You mean to tell me that we fiddle with elections, we prevent people from asking about it, we hunt down people who do, we destroy the evidence, point fingers when things heat up, basically drag the country into the ground, pile drive it into it, and then stand here on social issues that really don't make any difference and pretend that we are in the right. And all of a sudden now people aren't paying attention. What's happening? They're tuning out. They're not watching anymore. The advertising revenue is drying up. All these big name anchors, at least on CNN, they're worried. Come November, what's going to happen to Anderson Cooper's $20 million salary? Is it worth it when nobody cares anymore? You've lied too many times. You've lied. You've gone along with the narrative. You told us that the laptop was fake, and you pushed the 51 former law enforcement folks who said that it was Russian disinformation. You've gone after people and called them, liars and bigots and racists and homophobes and nationalists and extremists and insurrectionists. And now you realize that enough people are done. Look, if I want to be called names, I just have to go home. I don't need it from the media. This is the threat to democracy. A media that is in bed with a ruling elite uniparty whose sole mission is to destroy America and fundamentally install all over the world a new liberal world order. And we say, screw you! Not a chance. Not gonna do it. Coming up next on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends. Let's talk about this. A government that overspends all the time. Do you guys think that's a threat to democracy? Because I'm going to go with a big fat yes. And I've got the proof next on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Don't forget, tomorrow is Bad Joke Friday, wbrbrock@gmail.com. Bad jokes, wbrbrock@gmail.com. Or good news to wendybellradio@gmail.com. I got it yesterday. I typically don't go back and watch shows. I was there. I've seen it. But I sat back and tried to watch from a different perspective of basically from your perspective. And I noticed, and I never really noticed before, and I could have, I should have asked. But I watched the facial expressions that she does. And she says a lot with leaning in and leaning out of the camera and the facial expressions when she says stuff. Am I off base? I don't know if I'm off base or not. I just seeing it from an angle that I typically don't see it because I don't sit here and view the show. $181. Did you water Bob? Bob needs watered because we can't submerge him. You're supposed to submerge Bob. So
yes, dear, I watered Bob.
So we are intermittently watering Bob.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just is 30 minutes. He has to soak because
I put water in him.
Yeah, his scalp is the.
Is it still moist?
The planter. You know what? I want to take this time to tell you, I normally don't talk about Patriot Switch here. But look, I've been doing push-ups every single day before the show. And it sounds dumb because I've got chicken arms. But I told Brock, my goal was, what did I say, 10? I wanted to do 10, regular form push-ups. And that's hard for me. And I've been working at it. And now today I did 60. And I tell you this, not so you're like, wow, good for you, Wendy. But I firmly believe that we need to think about now until November and truly beyond that. But now until November, we've got to get into our fighting shape. Like we need to take care of ourselves for the war that is here, for the battle that we are in. And that means being honest about our health and what we do and the products we have in our house. I love Patriot Switch. It is a group of individuals who together have moved their money away from stores that suck, who pay for transgender surgeries and pass the amount on to us and our price increases, who support Black Lives Matter, who put a bunch of bad crap in their products that are dangerous for us, which is why they've got all the safety caps. I'm done with that. I'm done. And so Patriot Switch we're a movement that buys from one American company in Idaho, and they've been in business for going on 40 years, family run, faith, freedom, family, all of that, our values. But I've been there at the processing headquarters. I've been there to see them make these products. There's a reason there aren't chemicals. There's a reason why your children can crawl around on the floor and your pets are safe after you mop using Patriot Switch products. Because it's about health and wellness. It's about helping you live the healthiest, cleanest, best life you can. If that sounds like something you could get behind, because it's awesome. PatriotSwitch.com/Wendy. PatriotSwitch.com/Wendy.
Are we going for 65 tomorrow?
No, I can't. I can't just, it brutalizes my wrists. I've had surgery multiple times. I don't know if you can see the scars. So I don't know why we have to keep upping it. Like, why can't I linger a little while at, where I am?
Because you look like you have it in the tank.
But every now and again, it's nice to have reserves in the tank.
Okay. Then don't do 60 tomorrow. But when you set the bar, and then MB hears about it.
Why are people saying I'm a player and you're a coach? Oh, this ought to be good. Proceed. What is it that you were sharing with them while I was in the potty?
No, I said I went back and watched the show. The same thing I told you about the facial expressions and the working of the like the leaning in and leaning out of the
That's
camera.
just because I'm passionate.
Why do you think I would be? I tell you everything else.
Well, I'm talking to you guys. What's interesting though? When I pay attention to the show, I listen to the podcast. I don't watch the Rumble stream.
I typically don't either.
Yeah, I don't. I don't like to see it. I'll hear it.
I don't like to hear it chirping in my ear.
So if we're going to stay with the theme, threats to democracy, all of the pants on fire threats the media wants to tell you about, that Joe Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre and everybody on the left wants to run around and point fingers. Oh, no. That insurrection, that was the biggest threat to our democracy. It wasn't that they manufactured a virus and then released it on the world and then created some gene scrambler elixir that ended up killing people and maiming them. That's not the threat. People going to the Capitol to peacefully assemble, to tell their government, we don't trust you. We demand that you listen to us because this is the way it works in our country. Had the door shut on them before it was opened, of course, and they were lured inside. Now, if you want to tell me that January 6th is the biggest threat to democracy, I'm going to tell you, you're a moron. These people are morons, but there is a plan, of course, and it all goes back to their savior complex. See, when you're busy, when you're doing what you do, when you're happy, and happiness is relative. We're not always happy. But when you like who you are and you like your circumstance and you're dreaming and you have goals and you watch your children, and while it's not a walk in the park, it takes a lot, you're rewarded. You have meaning. Your heart feels complete. You can smile and go to bed and you can feel joy. And you can give into it. You don't need all these ancillary storylines. You have everything. And they hate you for that. There is not enough money. There is not enough power. Not enough gold bars, diamonds, stacks of cash or cars. There are no wire transfers or shady business deals that can replace peace. When you are at peace, it's a powerful thing. So I'm going to say to you in this segment, in addition to the media, another giant threat to our democracy is our government. It is a government that does not understand what we are saying. It is a government that is woefully out of touch with fiscal responsibility. And I'm not going to take any kind of umbrage with Democrats on this. I know who they are. I expect Democrats to suck. It's what they do, right? It is what they do. But it's the Republicans who have gone along with it. These are the people who need to be carved out and replaced. And that is why votes, making people vote, making them show up, registering. They prove to us if our electing of them was a con, or if, in fact, they do represent the values that they campaigned on. We have a hell of a lot who don't. So there's this mini bus, right? Look, the day the budget is due is like Christmas. It's not a, hey, Earl, get in here. Earl, tell me, this year, what day is the budget due? What day does Santa Claus come? Right? What day is that? It's known. They know. And they push it off and they push it off and they push it off and they push it off. And then all of a sudden they're this, oh my gosh, we've got to do something. Hurry. Let's stuff a bunch of jazz into a policy that probably sucks to begin with. Make it bigger. And then we won't talk about it. And we'll push it through at the 11th hour. And then we won't allow anybody to read it because we've got to hurry up. And if we don't, the government's going to shut down. Oh my goodness. Whatever are we going to do without the National Park Service for a few days? You guys going to die if your mail doesn't come to your door? I could go a few weeks without my bills, right? So that's the setup. So the House on Wednesday passed this $460 billion minibus, right? You got the Omni, the monster bus, and then you got the little short bus. Beep, beep. This is the minibus, all right? It's still $460 billion. And I got to say, a lot of it sucks. And Mike Lee, the senator from Utah, who might not be the greatest orator in the world, did a really nice job when this passed bill bounced over to the Senate. And they're like, whoa. We need time to look at this. And here's why. I've got some sound bites. What's inside this $460 billion package? You guys ready? Here's audio soundbite number one. The senator from Utah, Mike Lee.
We've got about 650 pages tacked onto this bill. Of just straight earmarks. Of those 650 or so pages, you've got over 6,000 separate earmarks. And there's a wide range of them.
Wide range of earmarks, 6,000 goodies that the constituents or that these elected representatives, they squeeze in, they slip in on page, 1008. So that they can go back to their districts when they're ready to run again for re-election and say, hey, look what I brought you. But the big question is, why is the federal government, aka why are you and I, paying for this glad-handery? Well, we ought not. Funny how that's the overarching takeaway here. And this is what Senator Lee says. Where's the discussion? Where's the back and forth? We need to negotiate. You don't just throw this on us. But of course, this is standard operating. Audio soundbite 2.
The purpose here is not to adjudicate each and every project on its own merits as to whether it should be funded by someone. The question is whether it should be funded by government, and in particular this government. And if it should be funded by this government, why not subject it to negotiation, discussion, an amendment process, debate under the light of day in which this can occur, rather than opening this up, foisting it upon the American people at the 11th hour, just a matter of days before it's to be voted on. And then we're told, oh, by the way, you can't really change this. You can't really change it unless it's something we want to change. We, meaning the self-appointed custodians of the bill and the highest-ranking appropriators in the Senate.
Threats to democracy, your federal government, these people who believe they really are that special. Sit down. You're not. So what's in it? Well, what is he talking about? What about these earmarks? Is it a lot? Is it a little? Does it even matter? Go.
The bill involves a total of $470 billion. Of that, $12.7 billion involves earmarks. Now, a lot of people are fond of saying in this circumstance, well, it's just a small percentage. It's a tiny percentage of American GDP, still a small percentage of what we spend overall, and still a pretty small percentage even of just domestic, discretionary, non-defense spending. Whatever. Look, the fact remains, it may not be the entire length of the train, or even measurable as half or a quarter of or a third of the train, but it's what's driving the train. This is why we're $34 trillion and counting in debt.
You guys ever lost a job? I've lost multiple. When you go from a 2-income family to a 1, things change. What do? You cut the extras. Who really needs cable? Who really needs this and that? We're cutting all of it. It is what responsible fiscal leadership is all about. So the argument, it's only 12% of what's in it. But if you carve out that 12%, that's not added to the deficit. That's not how these people think, of course. And this is the reality. And now Mike Lee, the senator from Utah, is going to call them artificial sweeteners. This is the pork that every single person has their fingerprints on in Congress. Go.
Why, for example, is it that we're being asked to provide some, $850 million to Georgetown University? No, that one's not $850 million. That one is $963,000. $963,000, nearly $1 million to Georgetown University. Now, Georgetown University has an endowment. Just in its endowment alone is over $3.2 billion. Why are we giving that to Georgetown? Why? Why likewise are we giving $850,000 to a left-wing entity called the New Immigrant Community Empowerment Center? That's going to use that to build, and I believe the correct terminology is a coffee shop and a greenhouse. That may be great. I don't know why that greenhouse and that coffee shop are being constructed by government, being constructed by this government with this government's funding.
This is the way it's always been. This is how you get $34 freaking trillion in debt. Congress doesn't stop. They don't change. They don't listen. Read my lips. Knock it off. We're done. Mike Lee says, there are a few of us who actually wanted to talk about this. Like, look, that's a hell of a lot of dough, yo. And I'm thinking that we should probably discuss this. Go.
To spend $2.5 million for outdoor recreation, specifically kayaking and slalom activities for the town of Franklin, New Hampshire. Those are fun things. They're great. People want to have the ability to do them. Why is the U.S. taxpayer being forced to work months out of every year just to pay his or her federal taxes, only to be told it's not nearly enough because we're $34.5 trillion in debt? And by the way, we're going to have to make you throw in $2.5 million for these recreational activities, kayaking and slalom activities in Franklin, New Hampshire. I do not know, but these things, we're told, can't be debated.
Can't talk about it. Sorry, not enough time. Screw you. Why are we paying taxes? Honest to God, what am I paying for? What am I paying for? So everybody else can get rich and I can pay the tab? I mean, honest to God, is that where we are? Yeah. Yes. Your government is a threat to your democracy. Your government tramples the hell all over it. And then this is intriguing. He talks about the Philadelphia $1 million stuffed into this minibus package that was supposed to go to some bondage, sex fetish, whatever for LGBT kids, whatever that gross thing it was in Philadelphia, until libs of TikTok blew the lid on that and they pulled that funding from the bill. So I guess it is negotiable. Listen to Senator Lee.
We tried to have them removed. I tried to strike them, and I was told by the chairman of the Appropriations Committee, sorry, no can do. This is a hermetically sealed chamber. It's been a finely wrought compromise, and there is no changing it now. Only there's a problem. They have been making changes. They made a change last night. They made a change after it was discovered that they had set aside $1 million for what's been characterized as funding for BDSM sex parties. And they were embarrassed to defend that, so Senator Murray went to the floor and had that removed. So apparently it can be opened up. It's just it can be opened up and changed only for things that she cares about. This is a mess. And no sane person would say that the governing body of any organization, whether it's a corporation and its board of directors, a state legislature, or the legislative branch of the United States government, should operate like this, where the single most important type of decision it makes, a funding decision to keep the entity funded, in this case in about half of the budget categories, should be made by a small handful of people who negotiate behind closed doors, expecting the Senate and the House as a whole to just rubber stamp what they've done and to tell them, little peasants, go away. We, the people who negotiated this, are the only ones who can touch it.
There you go. That is your big news of the day. That is the headline of the day. That is the story that your disgraced propagandist media will not share with you. So there you go. Media and big government, threats to democracy. You guys like it? Because we're just getting started. Hang tight. The Wendy Bell radio program continues right after this. That's what's going on. They all suck. And thank you for the list of people thank you for those of you who did an Easter egg hunt for me and then found the list of Republicans who voted for this crap. If you are a Republican and you vote for billions of dollars of garbage, don't argue with us and say, oh, it's a small part of the measure. No, see, because when you got a belt tighten, which we needed to do about 20 years ago, you cut out the extras. You get rid of the fluff, the gym membership. Oh, that would kill me, right? All of the extras that you do. You start coloring your own hair. You don't go to the salon anymore. In fact, you grow it out a little bit too. It is what it is. Not in the federal government. They can all bugger off.
It's like going to a hockey game and having an open tab. And having someone go and just
go wild.
Yeah, put it on that tab.
Margarita's gone wild.
You're right.
And another.
So, yeah, give me two. That's your government.
I'll give you a small raise.
That's your government.
I'll give you a small raise because that bill's going to come in here any day, and you're going to get your card and you're going to go.
The bill's already been paid.
Hey, Texas Bullion Exchange, texasbullion.com. In fact, you don't have to go to any website. I would go because I love reading about what people do. I like the about us, our history, who we are, what we're passionate about. And I've told this story. There are a lot of different places where you can go and you can get decent information about investing in precious metals, right? There are a lot of doctors out there. There are a lot of accountants out there, but you want that one that speaks to you. There's something that you want in that personal relationship. And that's the vibe I got from Texas Bullion Exchange. You have people who are fundamentally really, really geeked out to help you get precious metals into your life, whether you're passing it down to children or grandchildren, or you're just preparing for the future. Precious metals, gold, silver, palladium, platinum. These are great hedges against inflation, against war, against turmoil of any kind. And I personally think that the folks at Texas Bullion are the best to talk to. 855-927-5557. 855-927-5557. You can buy silver coins like this. You can buy gold coins. They also have gold rounds. I'm going to say that Texas Bullion should send me one of those so I can hold it up and show you what it looks like. Or a gold bar. They could do that.
It'd go missing real fast.
Right? I'm like, you can send me, I'd appreciate the silver coin, but, round, what does that mean? Maybe they should send me one. TexasBullion.com. All the information here right below the video box.
And check out the link in there. You can download
check it out. I think you'll really like these people, right? You want the right team around you. I like them. 10% off, by the way. Promo code Wendy. So we're gonna lay out the case for you today that all of these pants on fire, pointing fingers, oh my goodness, threats to democracy are a lot of fluff. There is a lot of smoke screening, a lot of deflection going on, because if you can point fingers at somebody else and try to paint them in a bad light, which has been their obsession with Donald Trump for the last 7 years, then for at least a period of time, you can continue doing the yucky things that you do in the darkness, and you can avoid detection. So something happens when not just a handful of people awaken, not just a handful of people snap out of that hypnosis, but large groups of people. And this is what you're seeing. You're seeing, and you're going to hear audio sound bites coming up in hour number 2, where the media is saying Joe Biden is losing chunks of core voting groups. Oh my gosh, why ever would that be? But that brings us to a very important part of this democratic process. In order for us to make the best decisions, we need to be able to hear our candidates duke it out. Let's hear your answers to questions that we have. And we could debate all day. The members of the media or whomever who are going to be acting as the moderators, but it is that face-to-face. That is part of the process. And so here it is. Donald Trump wastes no time after slaughtering Nikki Haley in Super Tuesday primaries all over the place. Donald Trump has now challenged Joe Biden to a debate. Here's the story, townhall.com. After becoming the de facto 2024 Republican nominee, former President Trump calling on Biden to debate, quote, anytime, anywhere, any place. And we all know that he cannot. Joe Biden, that is. He cannot. There is no way. He cannot manage a press conference without note cards. He cannot manage a public event, photo op, as weak as it might be, without a blue check mark or an X mark on the ground, or with Jill there to help guide him. This is not a man who can manage presidential debates. As much as what's-his-face Joe Scarborough wants to tell you that this is the best Joe Biden he's ever seen, Joe, your lies are so unsavory, and you're just an idiot. Now we just look at you with pity, right? So here's this question inside the press room yesterday. Peter Doocy, Fox News. So Karine Jean-Pierre, tell me, debates are historic. It's what we do. It's how everybody saw John F. Kennedy in a better light, how we saw an unshaven, nervous, and sweaty Nixon, right? It's what did George Bush in when he was running for re-election. It absolutely iced him. And I think it's what really delineated Donald Trump from everybody else. This is the question, Karine Jean-Pierre, if you're going to represent a quote-unquote transparent administration, you should have this date on the docket already. Listen to the give and the go.
Now that the field is down to 2, is President Biden going to commit to a debate with Donald Trump?
That's something for the campaign to speak to.
Well, we know when the debates are going to be. We know where they're going to be. Is he going to go?
You should speak to the campaign.
In 2020, once it got down to one-on-one, Joe Biden said, I can hardly wait to debate him. How about now?
I'm going to sound like a broken record. You should reach out to the campaign.
Why is this a campaign thing?
Because it's an election. It's a debate for the 2024 presidential election.
I'm not asking what argument he is going to make at a debate. I'm just asking.
It's not an argument. We're not talking about arguments. You're talking about his attendance. You need to talk to the campaign.
Look, we're talking about the presidency of the freaking United States, Karine. You blithering klutz. Now, I know her job is to sit there and spin, but that's woeful and highly, highly unacceptable. And Ducey's not done. Listen.
Just for clarity, it's possible that there will be no Joe Biden, Donald Trump debates.
Is that what you're excited about? Is that what you want to see?
Because
you keep asking me. You've asked me about 3, 4, 5 different times in different ways, and I've said.
What would President Biden do in a debate? I'm not asking a question about a specific debate. I'm just asking how would he do in a debate? I know it's been 4 years since he's done.
You literally saw just last year, back in January 2023, at the last State of the Union, take on Republicans during giving a major speech. He took them on. As they were heckling him, he took them on and said he was going to fight for programs, essentially said he was fighting for programs that the American people needed. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. He stood there and fought for the American people. I mean, that was pretty impressive. Some of you all reported on that. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Go ahead.
I want whatever Kool-Aid that she's not just drinking, but now she's in the back mixing up by the gallon. What the hell, sister, are you talking about? Because your entire campaign in 2020 was to be kinder and gentler and more normal and more sane and to be the most transparent administration in history. Vote us in. We'll correct this madness. We need calm and transparency. Well, then just say we are going to have a debate because we know that there won't be, because your dude is cooked and the world knows it. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, on tap next. And we're going to take you over to MSNBC to further underscore the media being, I'm going to say it, the biggest threat to everything you and I love in this country. Next on the Wendy Bell radio program.
I'd like to disagree with KJP on him taking on the Republicans. But since I didn't watch, it's kind of hard.
You know, and I will say, what were you just doing?
What?
Did you wave at somebody or were you stretching?
I was waving.
Oh, okay. I just, it's abrupt. No, I can see. Wow. Really? Good to know.
I should probably go water Bob.
All right. So I got a really sweet email about Field of Greens, and I want to read it to you. Let's see. How many of you guys sent me this stuff? Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Ugh. Did you forward it to me on mine?
I did.
On
PGH.
Okay. That's why. Thank you. I have so many personalities, you know.
Mm.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. All right, here we go. Ouch, that just hurt. All right, here we go. I'm 78 years old. This is Field of Greens. All right. I think this is the raw stuff. Let me see what it says. This is the stuff. Is this raw? I think it is. Okay, so this is it. Oops, hold on, let me turn it around. Brickhouse Nutrition, Field of Greens. And when I talk about us getting in shape, getting ready for this war, I mean that proverbially, but I really mean that. Like you can't be the strength of your family, your household, whatever, or even yourself if you're not well. And whether it's exercise, losing weight, getting strength, core strength, muscles, or it's fixing yourself from the inside out, which is why I love Field of Greens. This is what we do. And I say this is a particularly beneficial product. It's got all these whole organic fruits and vegetables, a couple dozen of them, plus turmeric, green tea, ginger, and licorice, inflammation, and all sorts of various things. And every single fruit and vegetable is chosen specifically for a benefit to some part of your body, whether it's outside your body or inside your body, okay? You notice it with your digestion, which is so helpful. But beyond that, people are writing me these great testimonials. Here, Kathy and Warren from Louisiana. I love this. I'm 78 years old, was diagnosed 25 years ago with type 2 diabetes. I've struggled with this since then. That is until about a year ago when I first heard of Field of Greens from Wendy. My husband and I started a regimen of Field of Greens shakes twice a day, and my A1C has been steadily improving. Today, for the first time in 25 years, it was 5.9. It hasn't been 5 point anything since I was first diagnosed. I cried when I saw that beautiful, beautiful number. I will continue to recommend Field of Greens to everyone. I am blessed. Please pass this on to Wendy. I'd like her to know once again that Field of Greens works. Field of Greens. fieldofgreens.com. 15% off your first order. And remember, if you decide, you're like, you know what? I want to get one of these every month. I think if you drink 2 of them a day, you'll probably go through it in a month. And you say, you know what? I want to get on this subscription. You'll get 10% off if you use my name at checkout. I have a rogue hair over here. It keeps tickling my face. Fieldofgreens.com, promo code Wendy.
Did you miss shaving it?
You know, that's what you get when you're honest. That's what you get. But it's better now. Can't tell. There you go. See what I get, guys? You understand my life?
I watered Bob.
Bob's looking good?
Yeah.
So the problem is he's got to be moist. He's got to be moist when you slather that stuff on. So are you going to chia? Is there a block we have coming up that isn't chock full of sound for you in the event you are going to be in charge of the slather?
Why am I in charge of the slather?
Because I talk.
I paid for it.
I can't even read comments in real time.
I paid for it. At least
did.
You can, during a break, slather it on. 10:30, you should slather. Why don't you get your glasses on and read how to slather to make it fat quicker?
Fully submerge chia pet in water and soak for half of an hour. Mix 2 teaspoons of chia seeds. Well, that's great. I don't have a teaspoon.
I think we can negotiate the amount. So 2 teaspoons, what?
1/8 of a cup, 2 tablespoons of water. And wait a minute. Mix 2 teaspoons of chia seeds with 1/8 cup of water in a separate container. See, this sounds very specific, Brock. I think you're watering Bob a little prematurely. I did not know I needed utensils.
Should you take Bob home and bring him back tomorrow?
I did not know I needed utensils. I say we start again tomorrow, and I will do it in the morning. I'm not going to jip him. If anything, I'll test on Joe Biden, who does not look like any work. Right?
That's the autographed one.
Oh, that's not him. This.
Paid up for it. It says it's going to take 2 weeks for...
I love that you're on the cross about getting the freaking autographed one. What did it cost you? 90 cents more? I got the autographed one for you. Oh, thanks. What a guy.
Wow.
What a guy.
Okay.
That's where we are. Also, New sponsor alert coming up. Actually, not really new sponsor alert, but product in my hands for a new sponsor alert, which I'm very excited about. We have great sponsors, you guys, and we have great yous. And if it wasn't for you, ring the bell. Okay. There you go, Porter boy. And if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to have fun. Why did you just sigh again? Enough with that. It's really unnerving. If you're new, I'm addicted to lipstick. Thank you so much.
Much like Joe Scarborough.
He doesn't have any lips. Can you imagine kissing that? You'd come out and you'd be like, ow.
No, I can't.
Ow.
I can't.
Not everybody has
He's
this.
your boyfriend.
4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump. Trump, 75 million, 80 million votes. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going anywhere. Even if Trump does, you're not. Which I think remains one of our big campaign strengths going forward. They can't separate you from Trump. And more importantly, they can't separate you from the ideas. They can't separate you from MAGA. They can't separate you from Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program is on the clock. We invite you to get our podcast, Wendy Bell Radio, 2 million downloads strong and growing. And you can join the live video stream. You can go to Wendy Bell Radio Network, get the app, and join the chat. Just glad you're here. As much as I don't like to do it, it is important that we pay attention to people who lie to us. It's important that we listen to what they say. It's important that we go up to 30,000 feet and we pay attention to the landscape below us to see how all of this is lining up. And threats to our democracy, that's the theme today. The left wants you to believe it's Donald Trump. The left wants you to believe it's racism. It's some form of discrimination. There's somebody who's being wronged somewhere. That's a threat. People who are what? White rural Christians. Big threat to democracy. It's stupid. And in many ways, I don't like to waste my time talking about it, but we have to. Because this is what the media now have stooped to do. At the beginning of the show, I told you how I believe there is a true, palpable savior complex among a lot of these people on the left. I think some of them truly do believe that they are doing something for the greater good, that they have been called to swoop in and to help us, that they know better. And if we would just trust them, then they could save the day. The problem is their policies suck. They suck. The way they go about it sucks. And so everything sucks that's connected to it. I mean, look at where we are vis-a-vis 3 years ago. There's really no debating that. But when it's a cable news platform and the cable news platform decides to break away from the GOP candidate for president, don't tell me it is anything other than propaganda. It's purposeful, it's propaganda, and it's gross. And in this instance, it's Rachel Maddow. So we're going to start with a series of audio sound bites for you here. I want you to be able to listen to these white college-educated liberals. Then they have Joy Reid as well. And she's Harvard-educated, right? I want you to hear their reasoning for not wanting to hear anything Donald Trump says. The role of the media is not to tell you what is or is not news. It is to provide you the information so that you can decide what is newsworthy and what is not. So that you can decide how you're going to live your life, the decisions that you make, how you guide your family. The media, the saviors, believe it is incumbent upon them to push upon you a narrative of suck. And Americans aren't buying it anymore. And they know that. I got 4 audio sound bites for you here, if I'm not mistaken. 5, I heard that through the glass. And it's going to start with, this is Super Tuesday. This is Donald Trump out of the gates. He is at his victory party at Mar-a-Lago. He is talking about the issues going on in America. And he's said this many times, that we are a country that is dying. We are a country in decline. We are no longer respected on the world stage, that Joe Biden and his administration have done such disastrous damage to who we fundamentally are and how other countries view us. That's a lie, according to Rachel Maddow. So they're going to break away from the coverage. And I want you to hear why she explains that move. Go.
I read an article yesterday where it said this is one of the finest run campaigns that anybody has ever seen. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. It's really a statement. And we have no choice.
Yeah, okay. It is okay. I will say that it is a decision that we revisit constantly in terms of the balance between allowing somebody to knowingly lie on your air about things they've lied about before and you can predict they are going to lie about. And so therefore it's irresponsible to allow them to do that.
Listen to the savior. I am the keeper of the facts. I know what is right and what is wrong. I am not going to allow someone else to be heard. That's pathological. That's psychological. That's narcissism 101. That's creepy. Who the hell are you, Rachel Maddow? Who the hell are you? Besides the one who told us that if we got the jab, we wouldn't get COVID. That didn't turn out so hot, did it? We are not going to allow him to spew his lies. What did he just say? Hey, we've been told that we've got the best run campaign. Can't hear that. There is an emotional fragility that bonds these triggered leftists together in this cult mentality. And the mission, regardless of the mission, right? There has to be an enemy, whether it's racism or you're anti-LGBT. There's always a label affixed to it, right? Donald Trump is the grand poobah of all of this. She can't stand it. It would be irresponsible, she says. Audio soundbite number 2.
It's a balance between knowing that that's irresponsible to broadcast and also knowing that as the soon-to-be de facto nominee of the Republican Party, this is not only the man who is likely to be the Republican candidate for president, but this is the way he's running.
They don't need 87,000 IRS agents. They need 87,000 therapists. Because if what we're seeing and the vibes we're feeling and the tea leaves we're reading all come together, Donald Trump's going to win in November. And they're going to lose their everlasting minds, right? She almost like vomits in her mouth when she calls him the presumptive candidate. Ooh. You know, Rachel, we expect you to behave as a grown-up. And giggling and being petulant and petty about all of this stuff, it is so unbecoming. It is perfectly in keeping with who you are and we expect it, but it's gross and it's a bad look. Only to be picked up now by, let's see, this Stephanie Rule. She's one of the panelists. And so she's going to hop in here and say, well, you know what? Why don't we just fact check him in real time? This is what they do. They allow Donald Trump to be heard in some capacity. And then the keepers of the archives, the masters of reality, the deciders of what is real and what is fake, they get to come together and they get to wave the wand and decide. That's called mental illness. Go.
Well, here's how we'll balance it.
Yeah.
Why don't we fact check the hell out of him?
Yes, and we do that after the fact, and that is the best remedy that we've got. It does not fix the fact that we broadcast it.
But it's
honestly.
Stunning that he's saying these things and people are hearing it. Let's just go through it, right? That we have the most devastating economy. Are you kidding me? We have had the best economic recovery of any country in the developed world. He's telling an audience right there, oh my goodness, the paltry oil production. We're producing more oil today than we ever have in the history of our country.
Hey, Stephanie, I'm going to fact check you in just a minute here. See, we export a hell of a lot of our oil that we could be using. And then we pay through the nose from other countries to bring it back to us. Now, I'm no logistics expert, but I'm just going to be like, what the hell is that? And maybe you can tell me why the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, Stephanie, is near historic lows because Joe Biden drained the damn thing. Does that make sense to you, Stephanie? Because economically speaking, particularly when we've got 3 freaking wars going on around the world that our government, our CIA is actively involved in, right? What? We need our strategic reserves. And she's not done yet. Listen to this.
Think about the American Rescue Plan, the infrastructure plan. We have created more jobs, 3.2 million more jobs than we had pre-pandemic. The problem that we do have is inflation. And so what Donald Trump does is prey upon the fact that people don't necessarily feel good and life's expensive. But when it comes to facts, here's something that's absolutely nonsensical and infuriating. When people's wages go up, they credit themselves. They say, I'm good at my job, I just got a raise. But when everything costs more, they blame the government.
You guys driven by a strip mall lately? Have you gone by a mall lately? You gone into the mall lately? Why is everybody shutting down? Why are businesses closing? Raising wages is making money out of thin air. It's got to come from somewhere, Stephanie. And I didn't even take macroeconomics. This is their argument. This guy's created all of these jobs, don't you know? Really? We were locked down. Okay, when we come back, we're not done with this, but we also have to dance over to this other area because it's becoming painfully clear that Joe Biden is losing touch with any kind of path to victory. Wolf Blitzer. Such a bummer. Enjoy it next on the Wendy Bell radio program. And by the way, let's talk about this. When Donald Trump was president, I remember when we had his energy secretary on, Dan Brouillette from Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken. We were talking about all of the Gulf refineries and all of the storage facilities that they have. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve is not just one site, it's many. And then the crude oil was so low that Donald Trump went to Congress and asked for more money because they wanted to get tankers out in the ocean. They wanted to get tankers loaded to the hilt over and beyond what the Strategic Petroleum Reserve could be. They wanted the tankers out there in various locations to be loaded down as well. Congress said no. Sort of like no to building the wall. You know, those common sense ideas that seem fiscally responsible at the time.
She forgets, too, that they put so many regulations on these oil companies, they can't speculate and they can't make the money, so they sell the crude.
Sell it.
And
then buy it
who's
from...
buying it? China.
Yep.
China.
Russia.
Mm-hmm. And because of that, OPEC cuts back production. And what she leaves out is they don't need to produce to have. They've got massive reserves. They're not even touching the stuff in the ground. They're just... Don't get me started.
In keeping with it's time for us to get in our wartime shape. Kelly Morgan and Morgane's Fitness. She sends me pictures of her 13% body fat body now. And it's just, she looks so fit, so strong. And she's in a bodybuilding contest coming up. And I know that she's super anxious about that. She's my age, I think, 54. No, she's a couple years younger than I am, I think. And she's just badass. But she's one of those people, like our other sponsors, who they live the life that they invite you to try. You don't want to go to a gym and have a morbidly obese gym owner there because you'll be like, I'm just going to say, probably not. Two of these things aren't together. She's fit. She's active. She's patriotic. She's conservative. She loves her children. She loves her country, served it in the military with the Air Force. And she has a great product that is open to you. It's called Morgane's Fitness. And if you live in Somerset or Cambria counties, you're invited to come get a membership. Come check it out. Go on a tour, meet Kelly, see what they offer. Whatever you do, do something. Get moving, get out there, whatever it is. If it's walking around the neighborhood or block, start today. Morgane's Fitness, MORGAINZ fitness.com. So I still have one Matt out, and this is what's her face, right?
Yes. We're at 2.5. And over 1,000 on X. If you're on X and you're watching on X, Twitter, please retweet it. Please.
Yeah, yesterday was really weird, and I would imagine that the lion's share of you watching now on X probably stumbled upon us yesterday and maybe gave us a listen, and you're like, that's different. And now you've come back again. That is the greatest compliment.
I always say, it's why I tell Rumble, anytime that you can help, all you have to do is put us there. It's our job to keep them. We're up to 35.8.
That's awesome.
Followers. I got to talk Bobby, and if we get to 40,000 to do the one chip challenge with me, he'll do it. I'll have you offer him $20. Take it off the tab. Just saying.
So what are the threats to democracy, ladies and gentlemen? It is a federal government that does not know how to stop its drunken spending. That is not listening to the people say, we cannot continue to live this way. We would be bankrupt. Our cars would be repoed. Our homes would be taken from us. We would be on the streets if we lived in our private lives the way our federal government lives in their lives with our money. It's like having Apple Pay, right? Now that everything's cashless, it's a terrible time to be a parent of young kids. Because usually you could say, all right, here's $5. You can get something up to that, or $10, whatever it is. After that, there's no more. Now, since there's no money exchanging hands, right? It's like, whatever. That's how people get in such woeful credit card debt when they go away to college. They don't see it. It's not transactional. It's easy. It's painless. The real threats, a drunken spending government and a media that every day goes out there and in its savior complex or in just sheer corruption, narcissism, weakness, whatever it is, ego stroking, feel that they need to be the ones to tell you their reality. The way they see it is the way you should see it. And on this panel where Rachel Maddow has bounced off of Donald Trump on Super Tuesday saying this was a great victory, we've run a great campaign, blah, blah, blah. We can't cover this, right? Here comes Joy Reid. She's going to hop in and she's going to try to wax poetic on Joe Biden's behalf regarding job creation and all of this economic stuff that is demonstrably false because it was all because of COVID. Listen.
I was literally Googling and I just pulled up these four numbers. This is the gross domestic product in the country. In 2019, it was plus 2.3%. In 2020, it was negative 2.8%. That is the election year. That is the reason Donald Trump didn't get reelected. That was part of it. 2021, it was 5.9. And I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that. And 1.9 in 2022. Those four numbers. 2.3, negative 2.8, 5.9, and 1.9. There's one factor in all four of those, and Lawrence just said it. Donald Trump had one job. He had one crisis. He's saying, all of these things were perfect. You had one crisis, bruh. It was called the pandemic.
So distasteful, so childish, so predictable, such a threat to common sense. That is who that woman is. That is what that network is all about. Now, to be equal and to be fair, we need to bounce over to CNN where Wolf Blitzer, who we understand could be on the chopping block. I know, what would we do without Wolf and his stare? Wolf Blitzer has, I guess, this guy, Mitch Landrieu. He is the Biden campaign head. Can you imagine having that job? There's not enough money in the world for that job. You're like, this is what Wolf Blitzer is talking about. My goodness, Joe Biden is losing some key base support. What's going on, Mitch? Listen to this.
The New York Times Siena poll last weekend showed key parts of President Biden's 2020 coalition seemingly falling apart. He's losing support with young voters, women, black voters, and losing some of that support to Donald Trump. Why do you think Trump has gained support among some of these key voting blocs?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure that's accurate, but assuming that some of those things are occurring, it's not really a big surprise. As you know, because you're an expert in political science, there are tectonic shifts going on amongst the electorate.
That's code for, oh crap, they're onto our suck. Oh no, what's going to happen? There's pushback in these legal battles. All these indictments. Fannie looks like she's about to have it handed to her. Oh no, Jack Smith, he looks like a deranged lunatic. Alvin Bragg is just a and Letitia James is toxic, and everybody knows it. The number that they're talking about there, the non-college educated, non-white voter, right? Particularly Black, Hispanic, working class. They used to go for Biden plus 46, I think it said, in 2020. Now it's just plus 6. Oh, snap. They're gonna try to tell you, it's early. I don't really believe these polls, but they're freaking out, as well they should. Because you can only lie to people for so long. Your track record, your federal deficit, the madness in this country, the temperature of the activism, all of these planets moving around, now colliding, and they think that you don't see it. And then you've got MSNBC thinking that they need to protect you. We're not going to allow you to hear these words. We have to protect you. This isn't looking good. And how do we know it's not looking good? Well, we have an expert on tap coming up next. His name is Rich Barris. He is a pollster. He is called the People's Pundit. He is all over these elections, all over Super Tuesday, and now he's looking in his crystal ball towards November. What does an expert see? And a real expert. Coming up next on the Wendy Bell radio program. All right, my sweets. What do I do?
Brock's boyfriend, Rich.
Yes, everybody needs a boyfriend.
I watch his show 3 days a week.
Do you?
Yeah. He does shows Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. When I get in my car, I put on Rumble and I listen. And when I get home, I transfer it to my TV.
It's almost like you dressed today in a certain...
I told him if he come on, I represent the merch.
Well, that was awful nice.
But I follow him on Locals. His up-to-date polling stuff is fantastic. You can click the counties. You can click... He's turned me into a polling groupie.
Right.
Like I look at his stuff all the time. But check him out. He does a show on Rumble Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon to.
What do you guys?
2.
Let's take a couple questions here. What would you guys like to know? What would you like to know? What is the question you would like to have answered from a guy who is awash in data?
And he loves it.
Right.
You
That's
almost
great.
have to.
That's great. Well,
Yeah.
you like you say, you have to love the grind.
Yes.
You do. You have to love the grind. I mean, who wouldn't love that grind, right? I mean, it's like one thing to, right, versus numbers, but we're all right. Okay, good. Hey, Simkovich.
Awkward move. Silence.
Simkovich Concussion Institute. And you know what? I pulled up. I had a really lovely, lovely. Here we go. This woman named Susan from Uniontown, Pennsylvania, wrote this about the Simkovich Concussion Institute. So a concussion is a kind of traumatic brain injury. And while we could get into the specifics of what the intensive concussion treatment, like the protocol is at the Simkovich Concussion Institute, you just want to know, can I get fixed? Can I be fixed? Because you can feel very desperate if your brain has been damaged. Where do you go? Well, Susan from Uniontown found the Simkovich Concussion Institute, and she wrote this. I had the therapy done because I was told it could be months to years before I was going to be better because of the severity of the accident. And I ended up going to the Simkovich Concussion Institute. Dr. Simkovich is amazing. He is well known. He works with sports stars, and people travel from all over just to get this treatment. He gave me my life back in a couple months, and I was stuttering at one point, didn't drive for a month and a half. But after his treatment, I'm me again and can actually enjoy life. He is amazing. 412-366-3700. 412-366-3700. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. I have a lot still to talk about. It's exciting. We have a full docket of promotions because of you guys.
Hey, Rich, how are you?
Thank you.
I wouldn't call it a dream. Are you? You right. Are you ready? All right. We got 2 minutes till we get back. All right, hold on.
Brock's boyfriend. I'm not the only one who can have boyfriends.
Huh?
What?
I didn't hear what you said.
Nothing. I just said I'm not the only one who can have boyfriends.
I love his show. It's very interesting in his take on things. He said something yesterday that was you don't think about, like between DeSantis and Nikki Haley. He's like, they wasted so much money. A lot of kids at Shriners Hospital could have been saved. And like the perspective, because you just hear all these numbers thrown around, to put it in perspective like that, I think he said it was almost $500 million that they spent on losing. And it's just crazy. Wendy, you're only allowed to have one. Salty's not the sharing type. I don't think you made the cut, Salty, to be honest with you. I mean,
I'm an equal opportunity.
Sorry, not sorry, but
I'm an equal opportunity lover. I have lots of love to go along.
Wow.
Haven't you guys realized that? That depth that I have, it's more than just this. All that.
Oh, it's the whole package.
It's the whole package.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yes. Everybody else does. Duh. How you doing? Shut up.
Don't tell me what to do, devil woman.
People's Pundit.
People's Pundit. He's big on locals, and here's the great thing about him too is he's not funded by campaigns. He's funded by the people who subscribe to his locals page, which is fantastic. He's like, here's the numbers. Take it for what it's worth. You decide. In the back of his shirt says it all. Accuracy matters.
Did we get any questions? I didn't even look. I'm such an idiot. God.
What am I going to do with you?
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, numbers, polling, you can be on the fence about what they tell you, if you can extrapolate facts from them, if they're really just trends. What can we do with data? Well, you got to have a guy who's the king of data, who loves looking at trends, who loves providing to the American people snapshots of current public opinion. And his name is Rich Barris, and he is the People's Pundit, and he is awesome. Rich, welcome back.
Hey, Wendy, thanks for having me back. It's always good to be here.
I love watching you on Sean Parnell's show. Brock was just talking about how he watches you multiple times a week as you talk about the data that you crunch. And you do this in a way that's entertaining and it's educational. What did you see from Super Tuesday that surprised perhaps even you? Or was it completely predictable that Trump was going to slaughter everybody else?
I'll tell you, I mean, it's kind of like watching the Supreme Court justices. You listen to what they're saying, just like polls. You can, look and glean what people are telling you, but you never really know until they go to the ballot box. And the first thing that surprised me, and then after that, I guess nothing else did, was how well, when we got those initial returns in Virginia, the former president was doing. So if Nikki Haley really was going to continue to be a pain, she was never going to beat him, but if she was going to continue to be a pain, you would have saw that in Loudoun County, Virginia, right? You would have saw that in Richmond City, and that just didn't happen. I mean, the initial early vote that came in Loudoun County, he beat her in. So very educated, very well-to-do, very, bougie people over there, and yet Trump still beat her there. So that was the first thing that surprised me, and then after seeing that, I thought this is going to be a really bad night for Nikki Haley. So that's it.
Absolutely right. So as we go forward, and we've got several months of this to go, how do you do this? What's your strategy? How do you go about figuring out the places you want to target and dig into? How does that work?
Well, that's a great question. We have, prior elections where we know are bellwethers, but here's the little secret. And a lot of election forecasters get this wrong. Bellwethers change all the time, a lot, by state as well. I remember Florida being the key battleground state. You could not win without the Sunshine State. And for years, guys like me would just be focused like a laser on Hillsborough County. But demographics change, Wendy. Demographics change. So the truth is we start doing this about a year out, and we start looking at how other counties and overall states, of course, have been changing since the last election demographically, and we survey the heck out of them. And then while we look at this primary vote that's coming in, of course, that certainly helps to tell us whether or not, those either assumptions or even basically hypotheses at that point, pan out. But there are usually the go-to ones that we have. But even they, over time, will change. So you have to really recognize that change. That's the most important thing.
Now, when you're talking about change, I know that in Pennsylvania, there's been a tremendous movement, a voter registration change away from Democrats towards the GOP, which is intriguing in this state, which I call the land before time because it's so freaking backwards. Is that one of those trends that you would be paying attention to? Are you seeing an outright repudiation of some policies vis-a-vis others?
That's a great example. Voter registration is one of those trends that we look at because it's static, as opposed to when a pollster like me calls a voter and asks them what their party is. Maybe they didn't go down to the secretary of, the clerk's office or the secretary of election, whatever it is in their own state. Maybe they didn't go down there yet and change their registration. But, let's go back in time. It's 2016. We called a lot of Democrats and they said, I'm independent, or even maybe I'm Republican because they really like Trump. And they were those ancestral working Democrats in Western Pennsylvania. When they go out and make that change, that's when they have basically concluded that this change is permanent. I'm not really a swing voter anymore. I have changed, basically allegiances. And that's going to have a much higher predictive value on their voting behavior than just when you call them once every couple of months and they may change their mind here and there. So that's a big deal. Pennsylvania's seen a lot of this. So has North Carolina. And honestly, several of what I see in those states kind of reminds me of what I saw in Florida back in 08 and 09, there was this move. That were people that were registered as Democrat for a while, but they would vote Republican at the presidential level. You have to learn that, where is that happening, and then is there a group of people that's separate from them that we really need to look at, and if they're driving that change, then it's more significant than normal. And so, that's really a perfect example, and those are some really good states that we use to gauge it.
Donald Trump says he feels as though California and even New York and New Jersey could be in play. I mean, I'm watching Steve Garvey, who has now secured a position to go ahead in the general to go up against Adam Schiff to fill Dianne Feinstein's seat. I mean, do you believe that traditional strongholds of Democrat power have the ability to possibly sway the other way?
I'm much more bullish on New York than I am California, but here's a little tidbit a lot of people don't know. California was only one of about a half a dozen states that moved more to Trump from 16 in 20 than from 16. So California was a little bit more Trumpy than it was, the 4 years before. So what's driving that? The Central Valley is getting a lot more Trumpy when it comes to especially Hispanic voters. Orange County and San Diego used to be Republican strongholds. They're whiter and more educated and more wealthy. So this realignment is, getting chipped away a little bit there. Then, it's not 10 years ago anymore is my point. But New York, I'm actually fairly bullish on, and a couple of reasons for that. Post-COVID, we saw a lot of state-to-state migration, and Nevada is one of the states that let Republicans down, neighboring California, obviously. It has let Republicans down year after year after year, but the demographics have changed considerably after COVID. And on top of that, Trump is just doing so much better with Hispanic voters. He's going to have an effect down ballot. So when you look at somebody like Garvey, it has to be, in order to win a state like California, it would have to be a politician that people aren't really looking at as traditional Republicans or Democrats. It has to be somebody who transcends that. And he's always been very well liked. So we'll see what happens there. But I do think, Wendy, New York is closer than people think. I do. And I'm basing that based on my own polling, what we have seen in the past, with actual voting. And then, of course, everyone thought maybe Lee Zeldin was a one-off. But I don't think that he is. Maybe it won't be that close. Maybe it will. But I really think that you look at polls, even forget about me. Look at polls like Siena. They are traditionally understating Republican shares of the vote, and it's close even in their polling. So I think you're just burying your head in the sand. If you're not looking at some states like New York and saying that this could be closer this time around. Now, do you want to go and spend money there? That's decision for the campaign to make, but I am somebody who believes you need to go after everyone everywhere. And if Trump, for instance, is going to do like an urban swing around the country, you cannot leave out the 5 boroughs. And by the way, that's where that swing is really coming from. I mean, you got 14% or 12% in Kings County. The Siena College polling routinely this time in this year, the cycle, has him in the 20s. That's a huge number because there are so many voters there. When you see a 10, 14-point shift in a place like the 5 boroughs, that's an enormous amount of votes.
And they want to downplay the cause or the effect that money, that finance, that we all feel, no matter how wealthy or how poor you are. You can't say that you're better, that you feel less stress. It's stressful. Talk about the Black, not college educated, common sense thing going on out there. I mean, Joe Biden has lost like 30% of that core support in the last 3 years. That's cataclysmic.
And it's not just that many of them decide, are planning to stay home. A lot of them have changed, have changed their voting preference. I saw this, Wendy, on Tuesday. I have my area. It is a very Republican area, very Trumpy area, but it's got a large block of Black voters, about 30%, and it's kind of like Georgia in a county. And I watched it when I was down there, observing. I saw them pulling independent ballots, which you can do in a primary. You just have to, you're an independent, but you'll pull a Republican ballot or you'll pull a Democratic ballot. And you can tell easily which ballot they pulled because the tables are different. So you'll grab that form, you'll walk over to the Republican table, there's the Democratic table. I watched with my own eyes a ton of black voters pulling independent ballots. I could easily see, glaring over what bubble was filled in the Scantron. These people were voting for Trump in droves, and that obviously happened. You could see the results in North Carolina from Tuesday. He won every single county, and when you look at counties like Craven, Carteret, even areas around Mecklenburg, there's just no way you could win that much of the vote without bringing over other people. I mean, can it be done? Sure, but it's not normal. We don't see that. So there's in certain counties, there's still majority registered Democrats, and yet Trump won so many more votes. So there's only one way that can happen. That's if traditional Democratic coalition groups that are independent really are still pulling a Republican ballot. So we see it. We know it's real. And every poll out there is showing that, right? So 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I may have been, one of the few people talking about it, but now everybody is talking about it. It's real. It's real because I know there's a lot of concern about whether or not it is. It is. We're not talking about one poll here overstating Republican support among minorities. This is every poll everywhere. It's happening.
Yes. Tell me I'm right or wrong when I say this. I believe that black high school or whatever graduated, educated men have the ability to X out the effect of the white college educated liberal woman.
Oh, absolutely. You are correct. This is the biggest misnomer, which drives me nuts, that all we do is obsess about the liberal, white, educated suburban woman. Wendy, women are about half of the electorate, all right? If educated women aren't even half of that part of the electorate, and then the suburbs are half of the electorate. So you're just continuously cutting this group in half. By the time you do, you get to about 13%. For every point of white vote that Republicans lose, let's say they lose a point among whites, they have to win 6% of the black vote in order to make up for that. Donald Trump is currently polling at 22% in the New York Times poll among black voters. He was at 4% in their final 2020 poll. So just that alone tells you that even if he did lose a point, 2 points, he would still make it up. However, he's not losing that. It's just greatly over. We're just like hyper focused on this one demographic group and pretending that these other groups can't outweigh the impact of those voters. They absolutely can. And by the way, that says nothing about the shift we've seen among Hispanics. What does that do to the equation?
Okay, now that's a good teaser beezer. You have to hang tight. Rich, Barris, I want you to hang with me here. The People's Pundit for a reason. Let's talk about Hispanics. Let's talk about the electoral map for 2024. Let's look into his crystal ball together. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. See, and all this illegal crap, right? Bringing all these people over. I have to ask him about the impact that he thinks that has. Because we know in places in New York, they're already allowing them to vote. Oh, it's only municipal elections. Oh, really? It's sort of like, oh, we only want you to not be able to have, we want to restrict the size of your magazine. How many rounds it can hold. Well, you do that, and that's the slippery slope. That's where it ends. He's great, isn't he? It's fun to talk to somebody who's knowledgeable but enthusiastic, right? I love that. That's why I love Ireland contracting, and I wasn't even going to go there. That's not why I said that. But that's why I love Gary and Diane Ireland and their sons who work for them. Like, if you're going to raise a family at the same time that you're building a business and your kids end up being great kids and you have a successful business that's based on your reputation for hard work and being honest, I'm going to go with you're doing a great job. That's Ireland Contracting. Gary and Diane, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Look, they're the home exterior remodeling experts. And I talk about windows right now specifically because through March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, you can get 0% financing for 3 whole years, 36 months to pay off the cost of new windows for your house. And we're talking about beautiful windows, double hung casement, vinyl, wood, whatever you need, they have. Bring the home show into your living room and let them show you what they've got. You need a new door, new patio door, front door. That's part of this too. 36 months, 0%. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. They love what they do and they're good at it.
Rich is not savage rich because Rich is savage rich on Sean's show, and he realizes he has to be a little more tempered because there's TV, there's radio, so Rich gets it. He's still he just calls it like he sees it. I told him I'd pimp it.
Well, you've done a fine job.
Check him out on Locals.
I really like what he said about Hispanics. Because I will say this, I grew up in Southern California and I worked in a restaurant every single summer. And if you've never worked with Hispanic workers, you've never seen workers work. These folks are amazing. At least the ones I had the experience and the privilege to work with. Bust their ass. Multiple jobs, big families, very religious. Hardworking. They're the kind of people you want to work with and have as neighbors. They don't like what's going on with this immigration crap any more than you and I do. Especially not the ones who, if they came here legally. He's called the People's Pundit. His name is Rich Barris, and he does numbers crunching, polling, and he's really enjoyable to talk to. Rich, while I appreciate your time so much, I've got to dig into this Hispanic trend that you're seeing, because one could argue in the world of common sense that the open borders and all of this stuff, perhaps they all want new voters to come in, and if we give you freebies and we give you gift cards and we pay for everything for you, you're going to vote Democrat. Historically speaking, though, same as the Black community, these people are inherently conservative.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, we used to talk a lot about the social aspects of that. What do they agree on, with Republican social policy, and that maybe they're a little bit more liberal when it comes to economic policy. But in truth, because the dichotomy has shifted, the political spectrum has shifted, and I would have to say this: the economic populists on the left really have fallen away post Bernie. There's nowhere for them to go. So those voters specifically felt a bit orphaned. The Democratic Party is certainly not for them. And with the rise of Trumpism on the right, it gave them a newer home. It just, we saw, alignments happen like this. You'll chip away at it a little bit at a time, and then all of a sudden, boom, it'll happen. And that's what it's looking like right now with Hispanic voters. And it's almost Reagan had said it, we're their natural home. But over time, I think, Wendy, honestly, they just kept replacing people who went through that political maturation, leaving that border open. They just kept replacing them faster than Republicans could convert them. And now we're at a point where, especially post the Great Recession, we're at a point where Republicans may have caught up. It may be the greatest political irony ever that Democrats let in people hoping to have a permanent underclass who inevitably turn on them. And then, or at least their second generations to third generations turn on them and then do them in electorally.
Right on. And talk about Generation Z. Of my 5 sons, 3 of them, 18 to 24, fit into this category. And their numbers show, particularly young men, that they're leaning towards the right. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I mean, I went to go pick up my son the other day, and they have these mock elections at school. And you're talking about, there's a lot of minorities in school. You're talking about Black men. We're talking about Hispanics and young people. Trump won every single vote at his table, every single one. And, years ago, it was, they play these games all the time with kids in school. And years ago, it just wasn't like that. So there were always, some people some kids who said, I like Trump better. But I'll tell you, the younger generation, they see these memes. People kind of joke at the power of memes, but I sometimes will run little experiments. I wonder how long it'll take before my teenage son sees that meme. And then a couple of days later, it'll come to me, "Hey, Dad, did you see this? This is hilarious." And it'll be mocking Biden.
Right.
They see it, Wendy. They do.
Well, and it's the overt, like Trump Latinos, and you've got now rappers coming out of the woodwork for Trump. It makes a difference for sure. I want you to look into your crystal ball, and I know you don't. You're not in the business necessarily of predicting, but I want to ask you one thing that you didn't see coming that has come true, and one thing that you are feeling might. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I would say this. I'm not sure, and I don't mean this in any way. It's just that we poll so often, so frequent, that I think I did see a lot of this coming. I think Trump maybe will do better with the educated voter than some people think. I really do. I think that he's had a habit, especially with white educated voters, he's had a habit of really polling worse than he performs. He doesn't win them, but this time around, he's polling at about the levels where he would overperform, right? So that's interesting enough. And then also looking at Michigan, there is now evidence from South Carolina to Michigan, North Carolina now, which was Tuesday. There is definitely evidence of non-white voting in the Republican primary. And it's sad that a lot of these exit pollsters, they'll put an NA next to that demographic group because the sample size is so small, they don't want to show you. But what you'll notice is in most Republican primaries, you'll see 2%, 3%. If you go back and look at 2016, that's what you'll see. If you go back and look at 12 and 8, that's what you'll see. Here, South Carolina was 11. This is growing, and it may not be statistically significant to the pollster to put it up on the, for the exit polling, but that is a lot more than what we normally see participate in these primaries. That was, even if he did better in a general election, it wasn't necessarily true that they would come out for a primary, Wendy. That's very different.
Right.
So the fact that they did and are is, it tells me that, or it reinforces what we're seeing with the trends for the general election. It reinforces that this is absolutely real and this is going to happen.
Let's say you are a newspaper editor and you've got to come up with the title for the election of 2024. And this is the title that's going to go out. This is the headline. It's going to be sprayed all over the place. What is it going to say, Rich Barris?
Wow. I like my Star Wars analogies, right? You had the New Hope, then you had the Empire. You had the New Hope, which I would think, is appropriate to label for 16. You had the Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, right.
Right. So now in 2024, will this be the Last Jedi? I think this probably is the more appropriate way. I think, Trump probably put it better than me. The revenge success will be our revenge.
Yes.
That's what I really think.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I've got 45 seconds and I'm going to ask you this. Based on your data and your experience, who should Donald Trump choose as his number 2?
Ooh, that's a tough one. It is, because it's different this year. He doesn't need a Mike Pence to, qualm the typical Republican voter. He doesn't need that. He doesn't really need anybody. I think what he needs is someone who will help him survive what's waiting for him when he gets inaugurated again. I think he needs a bomb thrower. It needs to be somebody that the establishment and the state views, if not worse than him, then very much, not an improvement. Because if he picks somebody that is an adequate replacement to them, then he's going to have a problem.
I get
so
you.
I would take electoral considerations totally out of this, Wendy. I really would. And I would think about survival.
In my last few seconds, tell everybody how they can follow you.
peoplespundit.locals.com. We're all over social, but that's the best place, folks.
Hey, you are wonderful. I so enjoy you, Rich Barris. Thank you for your time, sir. Hey, he brought up Michigan. Well, I got Michigan in the crosshairs because did you know that in Michigan, there is a very real threat to our democracy going on? Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell Radio program. I'll explain next. I, of course, was thinking A New Hope just the other day, right? except he had it in a different frame.
I liked how he said Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
I thought he was going Return of the Jedi. I thought he was going to keep it all old school.
Right. But he skipped out of. He
But
went
he
old
went
and
to
new.
the Last Jedi.
Yes. I like that very much. That was very enjoyable. Thank you for connecting me, and thank you to our friend Sean Parnell. And if you don't watch Sean, you should. He's on Rumble. Battleground.
Yep.
Is his show, and he commonly has Rich on, and they have a great
rapport,
chemistry between them, because Sean is he's funny but serious. He's strong but friendly. And Rich is just like, and he's got so much information, and I think it's really fun to watch. One of those things to get behind for sure.
We're hoping, while Rich is doing his election night coverage, we're going to dip into. That's the plan. I don't know if Rich is totally aware of that. We want to steal some of his content. I'm sure he'd be okay with it, but him having. Because he uses the same system that we use, that we can see his screen. So when he starts to go through all the maps and stuff, we can actually see his stuff. So I think election night is going to be fun.
But I also think it would be fun, and it depends on, like, for instance, I'd love to tap into Dan O'Donnell. In Milwaukee. I'd like to tap into Ari Hoffman.
Why can't we?
In Seattle, right? All the people who on my Newsmax show, Common Sense, I have these people on. Byron Donalds, yes, 100% in Dell.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe that's something that we do.
Yeah.
Where
we're going to have plenty of time.
Where I'm going to be texting with people and be able to say, hey, jump in and tell us what you're seeing, what's going on where you are, what's the vibe.
Yeah, we can just send links out.
Specifically swing state stuff. So who do we know in these places? I don't get a lot of people from, say, the Carolinas, like radio hosts. I'm going to have to dig into that a little bit, but that would be really beneficial.
The nice thing is I agree. Having an Ari Hoffman and a Dan O'Donnell available would be great, just from another perspective from that part of the world. But Sean has great contacts within the political world. I think that adds to it.
I bring nothing to the table here. Like I don't. No. I don't have the contacts.
Contacts aren't what you're bringing to the table.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's all this. I know. Okay. Oh, that's funny. Okay, where are we? Or as Brock would say, where are we at?
Did you mix the schmutz?
I didn't. I'm not doing it.
I have
Shut
a cup
up.
that you can mix.
No, I'm not gonna. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna do that. All right.
You know they have a scooper in there.
All right, so you guys have heard me talk about this. The SIRT food diet, SIRT, and we've talked about, famous people who've lost a hell of a lot of weight. A very well-known singer who dropped 100 pounds. You got a mixed martial artist in Conor McGregor who says he's used this SIRT food diet to get chiseled and strong. You've got, who else do you have? David Hay, a world championship boxer, who credits his amazing shape to the SIRT food diet. I had not heard of SIRT. I'm woefully not connected to that until they reached out to me and said, hey, I think you would really like our product. And I was like, ooh, tell me all about it. Well, here's what I know, okay? There's two guys, Glenn Matten and Aidan Goggins. These two guys created the SIRT food diet, but now they've created an incredible way to get all of these really powerful foods that they say are key to maximum strength, focus, energy, weight loss, digestion, all of it in one. And they've made it into a powder, Ultimate SIRT Juice. Okay, now this is different than what we talk about with our other Field of Greens. This is specific. All right, let me tell you what they say. They have combined all of the foods in their SIRT diet into this drink, okay? Powerful drink. You can get all the benefits just by drinking it. Ultimate Cert Juice. It was designed to help you lose weight, support your overall health, and give you more energy to do the things that you do. Okay. And right now, so this is what it looks like. Oops, sorry. Ultimate Cert Juice. It's a scoop water like we've talked about before. And you're supposed to be able to notice the effects and feel the effects. I am going to start it this weekend after I finish my other drinks. And I'm going to get back to you. But if you want to try this with me, $20 off right now. If you use my name, go to getcert.com, get S-I-R-T, getcert.com/Wendy, and you're going to save $20. All right. I think it sounds fantastic. And the results from people who look damn good, I think kind of speaks for itself. How do you lose 100+ pounds and without all sorts of surgery look good? Well, I don't know, but I'm intrigued. So that's what it is. Getcert.com/Wendy. I'm excited about it.
You know what I'd be excited about?
3,000 rumbles?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we're not even close.
Well, that's why when you were like, oh, we already have blah, blah, blah. It's just, I was like, well, we'll see what the people do.
2.9? That's it?
We have 100 people who could join us.
You lost it.
No, I didn't.
I'm blaming you.
291. Before I start speaking, there's no reason why we can't hit it. If you guys would smash that green button, the thumbs up, I would love it. Love, love, love it. 92. I need 80. Do we have 80?
Old school, since he referenced Star Wars.
Oh, yes. This is a good one. It's breathtaking.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Warning. You're about to experience an unpleasant truth.
America must choose to build a future or obsess about the past, to be a nation of fear, division, and of darkness.
Use your aggressive feeling.
Embrace anger, chaos, and truth, but in the shadow of lies.
Let the hate flow through you.
Together we can choose a different path.
Together we can rule the galaxy.
We're a nation of fear, division, and of darkness.
Break me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
Embrace anger, thrive on chaos, but in the shadow of lies.
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea. 3 hours of bold truth, excellence, and optimism for America. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program. It is on the clock. As always, delighted to be behind the microphone to share what I believe is common sense conservatism with you. Never is complicated, easy to digest, and delicious. That's what we serve up. Okay, that last part was kind of a stretch. But, all right, so the whole idea today of the show, and if you're just tuning in now, hour number 3 on the Wendy Bell Radio Podcast, please go back and listen to hour number 2, because our pollster, Rich Ferris, the People's Pundit, really exciting insight into what's going on in the world of demographics in this country and voting preference in this country. Got a lot of people who are tired of being taken for granted and taken advantage of, and they are ready to make a difference. I think this is so exciting. Threat to democracy. It's really the overarching theme of today's program. All of these threats to democracy. And it's a dog whistle, I believe, on the left. To Democrats, not to Republicans, because for some reason we don't hear that whistle. I don't hear the same pitch that these people on the left are hearing. I'm not picking up that sound, that frequency. But it's all about hurry, 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 hurry. Do you know what's at stake? If we don't do this now, if we don't, it's crazy. On the flip side, on my side, where it's conservative and common sense, I see what they've done to threaten democracy and destroy it. So the choice is obvious to me. We've talked about the government, out of control spending, lying to us and saying that they believe in us, that they represent our values, only to then go and vote rogue. This is why we pump all the time. The Liberty Score, conservative review.liberty score. You can go and you can search who the people are who so-called represent you and then fact check them in real time on their votes. You know, I didn't want you to vote for that infrastructure plan of suck. I didn't want $3 trillion in CARES Act nonsense. It's that kind of spending that leads us to the position that we're in, and of course to inflation. It's not a mystery. The media, another big player. We played audio in hour number two for you of the left, the media, which are the one and the same, pushing out specific narratives to you that are dangerous. They are untrue. They are propaganda. They are demonstrable. And we've broken those down for you. So now what happens when a threat to your democracy means you not being able to choose with any kind of reliable and reliable certainty that your vote matters, that your vote is counted, that there's no funny business going on, that there aren't machines connected to the internet, that we can't watch in real time as a candidate's vote count goes down? In what world does it make sense during live coverage of an election for someone's votes to go away? It doesn't. And then when you ask questions about it, they have but one recourse, and it is to call you a supporter of the big lie. It doesn't make you a threat to democracy if you see with your own eyes and hear with your own ears and dare to say, that's not good enough. I don't believe you. So that's going to take us to Michigan. Jocelyn Benson, Secretary of State. Piece of work. If I'm not mistaken, she was an acolyte of the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is a rabid left-wing establishment organization of suck, period. If you see that acronym, SPLC, you know you're dealing in suck. So she has graduated, failed upward to the Secretary of State's, and she's talking to some dude on whatever show. It's irrelevant, but what I want you to hear is what she says. They are in real time saying the quiet part out loud. We're scared as balls about this upcoming election. We do not like what's going on. And the people that we usually could count on, who would dutifully do as we say, have awakened from their hypnosis. Oh, crap. Jocelyn Benson says, well, you know what? I'm working with all these other secretaries of state to prevent democracy's death. That sounds an awful lot like collusion to me. It sounds like an awful lot like swing state shenanigans, which gave us 2020. Whether you want to say it or not, it is the truth. That's the way it goes. Listen to her say this. Audio soundbite number one. You know, it was a big deal in 2020. We got together, we did a kumbaya, and boy, didn't we have the results to prove it. Go.
One of the things we saw in 2020 was that, particularly in battleground states, we were all battling a common adversary, a really nationally coordinated effort to undermine the will of the people, both before, during, and after Election Day.
That's a huge misnomer, and it's a lie. And Jocelyn Benson, you suck. First of all, there was no coordinated effort to do anything. There was a coordinated effort for people to be able to choose, and not for the establishment to choose and then to cover it up, and then to run scared, and then to create January 6th, and to use that as a pants on fire smokescreen. Insurrection, oh my gosh, right? To hide what happened, period. So she just says to you, 2020, we worked together against a common adversary, a coordinated effort to undermine the will of the people. That's my 180-degree rule. She's pointing at something that she says happened when in reality, the finger should come back on her, because they are the ones who did it. Audio soundbite number 2. This is very troubling to those of us who actually believe in this constitutional republic, who believe in the idea of a democratic representation. That the swing state secretaries of state of Nevada, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona are freaking working together. That makes me feel super duper. How about you guys? Go.
And we learned to semi-coordinate with each other in 20. You know, Katie Hobbs and I was Secretary of Arizona at the time. She and I are friends, so we would talk regularly. But there was really no way for us to consistently as a team, the 6 of us in those 6 battleground states, which Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia, to constantly both compare notes and also say, okay, how are we going to respond to this nationally coordinated effort with a coordinated response?
There was a nationally coordinated effort for we the people to choose who we wanted to be president, not for you to install someone of your choosing. That was the coordinated effort, of course. Just tell the truth. Just don't suck. Just try harder not to suck. Period. It shouldn't be complicated. But when your life and your whole identity is the wheeling and dealing and the collusion and the desperation to stay in power and, oh my gosh, we've got to do this or that. That's when you get that threat to democracy. This is what you're going to get. She's about to drop it on you right now. The future of democracy. We're in a future for the battle over democracy. Listen.
And so that's, now we have that. We actually spent 2022 working to build that team in these 6 states. You've got strong voices now in Arizona and Nevada and Georgia and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and in Michigan. And we're all talking, we're all working together, and we're all very clear about what we're up against. Because the battle over the future of our democracy isn't going to be in the post-election process only. It starts now.
Boom. The battle, she says. The battle over the future of our democracy. Again, it's just a big stamp that's supposed to make you feel as though, oh my gosh, thank goodness they're taking action for me. I mean, what would I be doing without Jocelyn Benson? Without her meddling with 5 other secretaries of state? And I remember going back many years, and I did a BS board where we took 3 swing state cities and we showed you the time that the vote count stopped and restarted and stopped and restarted. And they were all within a minute of each other. Is that part of the coordination, Jocelyn? Because it sure sounds so cool and nifty. Finally, audio soundbite number 4. This is the one that they want you to realize that, no, don't trust yourself. It's all PR, what other people are saying. You just trust me. Listen.
And it starts with how various court battles are playing out. And you'll see all of us getting hit with the same types of sham lawsuits that are lawsuits, or PR campaigns masquerading as lawsuits. So as we work together, as we talk to each other, we can develop common strategies and be much more powerful, united as a team, even across party lines, than we would be if we were just fighting these battles in our respective states by ourselves.
Even across party lines. Of those 6 secretaries of state, 5 of them are Democrat. 1 is Republican. It happens to be the guy in Pennsylvania. Never even heard the guy's name. Isn't that a shame? This is where we are. So she says we're all getting hit with the same sham PR campaigns masquerading as lawsuits. Can you imagine if those lawsuits actually went through? Because none of them has. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? Because they're so wrong or because they're so right? Curious. You decide what you think about Jocelyn Benson. All right, so pay close attention to the coverage of Texas. What's going on in Texas? Why is the Attorney General there, Ken Paxton? He's got everybody's panties in a bunch. I'll explain why. Threats to democracy continues next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. Did you just want to put down my mic there before I finished? Good job.
Yeah.
Apparently.
I got tired. Are you sure the Secretary of State for PA is a Republican?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. Al Schmidt.
Never heard his name before. I was like, who's a Republican? Because she's like, it's bipartisan. I'm like, there's nothing.
That's what they do. He's probably a Republican in name only.
This is why Robert Hur and David Weiss, these clowns are selected because they're registered as an R. They behave as a D. but they're registered in one way. So it was a bipartisan group of people who signed up for the infrastructure package. That's why I say all of those clowns need to be voted out. John Kennedy, pack your bags. Period. There you go. All right. So I was super excited. You heard me talk about this emergency medical kit and travel kit that the wellness company does. I want to thank Dr. Peter McCullough and the wellness company for aligning with what we do here on this program to try to give you the facts, to try to help you become aware and prepared for whatever the next round of suck they're going to throw at us is. And if COVID taught us anything, it's that the nation's drug supply is tenuous and fragile when you've got people who don't want you to have medications that could save your life. They want you addicted. They want you on whatever they're making money off of. I'm talking specifically about Fauci and all the rest. You couldn't get hydroxychloroquine. You couldn't get ivermectin. You couldn't get these things that we knew were working. Why? Because they wanted you hooked on their drugs. Fantastic. So that gave birth to this other company, the wellness company. And it allows you to go online and you fill out an intake thing. And it's like a pharmacy prescription. What do you need this for? Tell us about yourself. And then a doctor on the other side with the wellness company reviews, agrees that you can have this kit or not, and then they ship it to you. This is what it looks like. This has all these different medications. Let's see. The medical emergency kit. This is what it looks like. It comes to you like this. All right. And inside is a very helpful pamphlet that tells you everything that's involved and the treatments for it. You get hydroxychloroquine, you get ivermectin, you get a Z-Pak, 8 life-saving medications, a guidebook for safe use, and all that. And there's also, this is the one that you can take on the road with you. I like how they do this. Your travel kit, pop this bad boy in your luggage when you're taking the family out of town. And no matter where you are, you're prepared. Look, I think it's important and we need to be prepared. The wellness company, twc.health/Wendy. twc.health/Wendy. Get this. Get this in your closet. Get it in your car. Save 10% off, 10% using my name, Wendy. Very easy. Very, very easy. It doesn't take a whole lot. And they've made it streamlined, so it's super duper easy. This is only available in the US, I can say. These kits are only available in the USA. I love that we've got doctors like Peter McCullough.
If I need it, I'm just coming to your house.
And Dr. Drew, who are willing to stand up and say, you should have access to the medication that we know is safe and effective. And just because the FDA doesn't want you to know about it, doesn't mean we're not going to make it available to you. Thank you, Dr. McCullough.
Is it going fast for you?
It is going fast for me. Oh, wait a minute. I got to get this ready. How you doing?
Oh, boy.
What?
Nothing. All he said was, oh, boy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The media is such a big threat. It's such a giant threat to democracy. And you can imagine how it's hard for me to say that. I was a member of it for 30 years. You know, I was a reporter and a news anchor for many, many, many years. I was part of this. It's over. It's game over. And they continue to shoot themselves in the foot in the mainstream media by disingenuously reporting facts that aren't facts, or taking something and twisting it to fit their prescribed narrative, that there's some existential threat to you, and without their intervention or without you voting a certain way or taking action in a certain way, which is almost always to your detriment, you're going to suffer in some capacity. Oh no! This really ticks me off. The attack on Ken Paxton because he is a MAGA Republican, the effort in the Republican Party in Texas, in the General Assembly, to impeach the man on evidence that didn't exist. It was some pay-to-play scheme involving home construction, some remodel of his kitchen. You would think that there would be a finished kitchen remodel if that was the case. But Ken Paxton never remodeled his kitchen. Everything that this stupid case was based on sucked, and it blew up in their faces. Look, in my mind, if you're a rhino, if you're going to vote to impeach somebody, that's a big deal. And you're not going to take the time to find the facts. You're not going to do your own due diligence. You're the same as a doctor who told his patients or her patients to hurry up and get 9 boosters. Did you not read all of the accompanying materials? Did you not see the printout of side effects that is an absolute litany? It's like a scripture. So these votes, you need to be held accountable for what you do. How else are we to choose the leaders that move our country forward unless there is a checks and balance? And the checks and balance is you vote, we see how you vote, and then we get rid of you. That's the cool way here in America. So I saw this headline. This is NBCnews.com. After impeachment acquittal, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is out for revenge. You know what MAGA is not? MAGA is not about revenge. It's not about exacting some kind of retribution. We might sit back and enjoy people squirming. I might enjoy watching Joe Scarborough talk out of his butt and sound like a moron. It's fun. I enjoy that. But it's not about retribution to me or revenge. It is about something far more important. Saving America. It's not some big talk. It's real. That is what this is about. So NBC, you suck. It's a disingenuous, misleading, on-purpose headline. I want you to read a little bit about this. This is the cut line. The Republican has endorsed more than 70 candidates in Tuesday's primary. This is a couple days old. Mostly backing those who voted against his impeachment or are challenging those who did. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're going to come at me, if you're Ken Paxton, Donald Trump, or anybody in the private sector, if you're going to come at me and you're going to say that I did something wrong, you damn well better have the proof to back it up. And if your goal is just to drag me through the courts, to bankrupt me in some capacity, to scar my reputation, to make me less palatable to the electorate, and you don't have the goods to back it up, damn right I'm going to come. Damn right I'm going to come for you. Damn right you need to be carved out, specifically if you're a Republican. Again, I don't care about the Democrats. I know who they are. I know how they vote. I know all of the shtick. They're dirty. Period. Okay. But how dare you pretend to be one of us and then to do that, to vote to impeach a man for a crime that wasn't committed? This is how I feel about any Republican. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, anybody who was down with throwing rocks at Donald Trump in totally ridiculous ways. Get out. Get out. Well, Ken Paxton isn't about revenge. He's about squaring up the Republican Party in Texas, a Republican Party that we know is under assault from George Soros and other dark money sources. They want to turn Texas purple. They want it to be blue. They want to take that state. This is exactly the gamesmanship of politics and elections. For Ken Paxton to say, these are the people I support, and if, hey, Texas, you believe in me because you saw what they did to me, you saw the witch hunt, you saw the smears, you saw the impeachment, you saw all of that. You saw the jabs, the hits, the attacks on my family, on my wife. If you're done with that as well, these are the candidates I support. And if you want to support them, I'd be honored to have your vote. Is that revenge? Or is that the freaking way it works? NBC, you suck. Doesn't that feel good to say it? I'll tell you what it does. Quick time out when we're back. Say some votes. Oh, I'm going to say this. Charles Barkley, let's just tell you probably didn't expect it. The pushback. Oh boy, buckle up. It's next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So this is it. Out of 70 candidates on the ballot yesterday, the Texas GOP Attorney General Ken Paxton endorsed. 33 won their primaries, 10 have advanced to a runoff. Paxton helped defeat 7 Republican state house members who voted to impeach him last year on corruption charges. He also boosted 9 other GOP candidates for state house seats. His endorsed candidates unseated 3 Republican judges on the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals who had angered Paxton by keeping his office from prosecuting voter fraud. I love it. I love it. Let me tell you quickly, Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, my friends, PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. Disc Institute of Pittsburgh is a one-stop shop for avoiding spinal surgery. Look, and I'll just say it as it is. If you've got a bulging or degenerating disc in your back, it could have really crumbled to the effect that you need to have surgery. And Dr. Rafferty will be a great source to tell you that. But if you can be fixed, if you can be healed without somebody taking a knife to your spine, wouldn't you want to be at least investigating that? I would. It's called intradisc neutrosis, 98% successful. 98%. Guy's done it like 15,000 times, probably way more than that. And after 5 years, 96% of the patients are still enjoying the benefits of intradisc neutrosis that lets your body heal. It's a therapy. It's a treatment. It's not a magic bullet, but it feels like one. So get in touch with them, 412-906-9600, 412-906-9600, PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. I think I only have one left, Brock.
One?
Did I already do CB Distillery?
I don't believe you did.
I don't think I did. I'll talk about them here.
I took a gummy last night.
You know what? That's the perfect thing. So we hop on the stream this morning. We're looking at each other. It's kind of scary for him. And
yes.
Well, you looked rough too, yo. So I'm just going to say it. He looked like he hadn't slept. And he came off and said, I did not sleep last night. I took a gummy.
At 10:30.
At 10:30. And then you're worried. Am I going to be all like, am I going to have a NyQuil hangover the next morning, which is one of the rubs?
I was worried more about, am I going to wake up? Because I sleep so soundly when I take it. Like, I hope I wake up.
I don't know how you feel, but your eyes are totally awake.
I feel good.
Yeah.
I think it was
You'll need to catch up, but it allows you to. There is nothing worse than sitting there and looking at the clock and knowing that. And the more you look at it, and the more you look at it, the worse it gets. And you're like, fudge. There have been some days that I've awakened at 1 o'clock. Because I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just tossing and turning. So that he was able to wake up to his alarm and be focused and ready to go. It's still not pleasant, but focused and ready to go. That's a huge benefit.
That is fake news.
CBDistillery.com. CBDistillery.com. Right now, I believe it's 20% off. I don't know why I always have a problem with this. But if your medicine cabinet is packed full of all these painkillers and all these muscle relaxers and sleep aids and all, just go like that. You don't need Bengay. You don't need NyQuil. You need CB Distillery. They have products made from, the hemp plant. These are not the products that make you high. They are the medicinal value. These are true as the earth intended. True green, natural products from God. And CB Distillery manages to make them into their own formulations to help you with anxiety and stress and sleep and muscle aches, right? And muscle aches and pains and arthritis. I would not go a day without my CB Distillery stuff. Up to 20% or 20% off. Use promo code Wendy, cbdistillery.com. Their website is easy to use. Their things come to you quickly. And they have a guarantee, right? 100% money back guarantee. If you don't like their products, they will refund your money, but you will like their products and you won't even have to worry about it.
Showed me a lot last night. Taking one that late.
Yeah, I was going to say that probably was a little
That was a little
nerve-wracking.
scary. I was sketched, but I'm like,
well, why didn't you text me? You would normally text me and say, I have to take something, and if I am zonked, wake up and call me. You didn't do that.
I didn't want to bother you. And burden you.
I was already asleep. But okie dokie, Pally.
I did not want to bother you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially when you were saying I was unpleasant this morning. I really wasn't unpleasant.
You're not unpleasant.
Yeah.
I don't know you to be unpleasant. That's not your MO. Oh. I'm going to be able to talk to you guys about this again tomorrow.
What? Oh. Magic eraser.
You know what? That is a great comment. I'm going to steal that tomorrow, and I'm going to pretend it's my own, and everybody will think it is.
That's never happened to me before.
About the many ways in which people out there are actually threatening our freedoms. They are trampling our peace of mind. They have made things unnecessarily complicated. And yet these are the saviors who believe they have the tools. They are the ones who are able to save the day. It's the firefighter arsonist. Don't take credit for spotting the flames when you had an advanced start on it, because you started them. This is what they want to say. This is what Joy Reid was saying earlier in the program, talking about giving Biden credit for job creation or GDP or this or that. When you have a once-in-a-lifetime shutdown of your entire economy and then you open it back up, stuff happens. Please don't tell us that you're the one who created jobs. Something ridiculous worked its way through its course. And then people got back to work. Not enough yet. But this is their argument. So before the break, and I have to talk about Charles Barkley here in just a second because it's beautiful. The pushback against blockheads who try to use their fame or their statue or whatever to just be dumb. And Charles Barkley, well, he knocked that one out of the park. He swished the three-pointer at the buzzer. I'm going to tell you why. We were speaking of Ken Paxton, Attorney General from Texas, and how NBC is calling it his revenge as he's trying to endorse certain candidates in the Texas primary and helped push several over the finish line. It's not revenge. It's called the cycle of life in politics. If you suck and you're a Republican and you're not down with the view of MAGA for this future of our country, then pack your bags and move along, because our party is fractured in that regard. You're either on board or you're down over there. And if you're down over there, pack up. Did you guys know this? Of the 70 candidates on the ballot, the Texas GOP Attorney General Ken Paxton endorsed, 33 won their primaries outright. 10 have advanced to a runoff. Paxton helped defeat 7 Republican state House members who had voted to impeach him last year on corruption charges, even though the case completely blew up in their face. He also boosted 9 other GOP candidates for state House seats. Ladies and gentlemen, these folks are going to tell you that Ken Paxton is a threat to democracy. He wants revenge. No, this is the cycle. This is voters getting the opportunity to choose when presented with the facts of the trial. Show us the trial, broadcast it, air it live, be transparent. Let us see what is at stake and what the accusations are, and then let us decide. That's what this program that I do here is all about. I'm no genius. I'm not a political scientist. I've got no connections to the Beltway. I'm a mom. I pay bills. I work hard. I tell the truth. Period. Charles Barkley just got the pendulum. That boomerang came back and whomped him good. So he's on this stupid CNN show with Gayle King, and it is stupid. I'm just going to say it's stupid. So much of television is, which is why nobody's watching. And it's called King Charles. And they're talking about his outrage over a small segment of a clip that was taken from some black conservative, I don't even know what it was, some meeting, right? And Donald Trump is there, and he's talking about how it's kind of surreal to see people in the black community wear shirts with his mugshot on it. And he makes the comment, I believe that because the black community has been wrongfully persecuted for many, many, many years, that they can see it happening to me, and it hits close to home. And they see it's happening to me too. And they have a visceral reaction to it. Charles Barkley goes out of his mind. If I see anybody. Well, we've got the clip. What is it exactly that he said again, Brock?
He'd punch him in the face if he saw anybody.
That's right. Here, I thought we had that sound. I didn't know if we did. Did we not find that sound? We didn't. Okay, that's fine. This is what he says. He does? You got it? Okay. I'm just calling.
And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. You know, they do shirts.
When you heard that, what did you think? Big sigh.
First of all, I'm just going to say this. If I see a black person walking around with Trump mugshot, I'm going to punch him in the face.
Charles.
No, Gail.
Charles.
Gail.
You really can't say that because, A, you don't mean that.
I mean that sincerely. I'm going to just tell you something.
And then you will be arrested for assault. And then what?
I'm going to bail myself out and go celebrate.
Okay, so that was the comment. I'm going to punch him in the face. Well, a lot of black people who like Donald Trump and for their own personal reasons would wear his mugshot on their person have decided to fight back on this one. I'm not so sure Charles Barkley was expecting this. Headline from Breitbart. Barkley doubles down. If you're a black person wearing a Trump mugshot, quote, you are a freaking idiot. See, I don't think he doubles down. I think he's backpedaling. I don't think he was expecting the pushback specifically from the black community. This is the story. Former NBA player Charles Barkley said Wednesday on CNN's King Charles that black people who wear former President Donald Trump's mugshot-related merch are freaking idiots. Co-host Gayle King said, I don't know if you know normally, we're sitting here and we don't make the news, but this past week, Charles, I don't know if you know, but you've been in the news for some comments you made on our last show. Well, that was what he had said. Blah, blah, blah. Barkley said, number one, obviously, I'm not going to go around punching random strangers in the face, first and foremost. Secondly, so apparently the lawyers got involved on CNN. They're like, look, we might think it's funny because we're toxic leftist propagandists of suck, but there are a lot of people out there who aren't too pleased with what you said there, Charles. So now he's backpedaled. He didn't double down. He's going to call people who decide on their own what to wear, how to vote, whom to love, how to feel, where to go, what drugs to take or not. You're a freaking idiot. Well, it's kind of odd that A lot of people aren't down with that. In fact, we have a little picture I want to put up on the screen for you. Here's one guy. He is a completely jacked black guy. He's ripped. He's wearing a MAGA hat. He's got Donald Trump's shirt on. It says legend on it. It's not even his mugshot, but it shows him as though, he's getting one taken. And the guy's name is Zeke Arkham. He says, anyone seen Charles Barkley? I heard he was looking for me. I grew up in the you hit me, I'm going to hit you back era. This is significant. The same way Rich Barris sees significant trends in his polling. And so it's hard for him to say what is a surprise and what isn't a surprise because he can see it percolating. You see the seed planted. You begin to see people awaken. And then you see it spread. And then you watch. It's not because P. Diddy or whomever the hell it is du jour today is rapping about Donald Trump, MAGA love like Trump Latinos. It goes far deeper than that. It's a personal, fundamental thing. And Charles Barkley just said basically that everything the left stands for, they really don't. Because if you deviate from what they think is right, you ought to be punched in the face or you ought to be called a freaking idiot. Charles Barkley, what a hypocritical schmuck you are. And what a shame. What a tragic shame that is. You don't represent a party of inclusion. You don't vote for equity. You're part of a cult. See, and that cult isn't about making America great. It's not about taking children in the cities that you should be representing, those who are disenfranchised by Democrats, who are forced to attend public schools that we know are underachieving. Democrats who refuse to allow people to choose for themselves where their children should be educated. They stick them in these failing schools. Charles, you should be advocating about excellence because you advocated it on the court, in sports, in sheer tenacity. And now, like a blowhard, you're going to get up in a pulpit and you're going to giggle the way Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow and Stephanie Ruhle and the other lackeys on the left on MSNBC do. And you're going to snicker and make snide comments and mock the majority of us who have very basic needs. We have very basic desires. And the desires of MAGA, of supporting merit and making life safe and getting back to the basics of being decent, honorable people and bringing morality and family values back into the discourse. That speaks volumes across all demographics. That's not a white thing. That's not a rich thing. That's not a I got a college degree thing. It's the commonality that should unite all of us. So I will agree and I will disagree with Breitbart. I'm glad they covered the story, but Charles Barkley isn't doubling down by pushing back or pulling back from I'm going to punch you in the face to you're a freaking idiot. Either way, if you want to wear a Biden-Harris bumper sticker across your forehead, have at it. If you want to paint your house with Biden-Harris signs, that's fine. You go for it. Because you know the people who aren't criticizing you for that, who aren't mocking you, who aren't telling you you're stupid? Yeah, the very people who you say you want to punch, Chuck. When we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, my friends, I want to do this. We've got a great mashup for you. Do not go anywhere. It's the video you have to see as the left tries to turn this unanimous decision by the Supreme Court to keep Trump's name on the ballot in Colorado, but of course, everywhere. They're going to try to twist it in their own likeness. Threats to democracy. Next.
How's what Charles Barkley said any different than Joe Biden saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black?
100%. I think that was a wake up for some people.
Coming from one of the whitest dudes.
Where it's no longer earned, where you don't have to earn somebody's trust. You know, one of the finest things that you can say to me is that you trust me. Is that, you know, you've followed us for a while and we've presented information for you and we tell you where we get it and we share it with you and we say, go and check it out and dig a little bit, spend half of an hour, spend an hour or two. It's worthwhile when you start taking charge of your own facts and not let other people tell you what those facts are. And the number one thing that you say is, I used to fact check her. I don't anymore. They tell the truth. Like once you blur those lines, it's really hard to come back. Really hard to come back. And I'm afraid for the Democratic Party that the fracture in the Black community is going to be insurmountable. What kind of a candidate are you going to put out there in future years who can carry the rabid, narcissistic, egocentric, injurious policies of the progressive socialist Marxist communist left? I don't know. Katie Porter. That was rigged. Isn't it?
She's an insurrectionist.
Isn't it? Yeah, she's denying the results of an election. That sounds super big lie-ish stuff to me.
Sorry about the Barkley. I got the overlay. I was up with the overlay.
No. I don't know.
No, you didn't. You actually did it right. It was my fault. What? Did you just say I know? Did you just say I know?
I'm pretty sure I did. That's what I said. It went like this.
Just remember.
I'm never right, okay?
Just
allow me
remember,
to have a small
I remember
victory.
everything.
Pal, I am wrong about everything in my private life, usually. Everything. Give me this one victory.
No, because you criticize me when I say I know. Do you or do you not? Is that fake news?
No, but it has context. There's context. There are layers of this.
There's context. It's mighty liberal of you.
That's not a liberal thing at all. Not at all. When I say to you, rats, you were right. And you're like, I know. I want to punch you.
I never say it that way, though. I say, I know. Context. You make it sound like I know.
It makes me want to work my biceps more, if you know what I mean.
To throw me down the steps? You don't scare me, lady. You really don't scare me.
Before I get off this Charles Barkley thing, I had to read you this headline. BizPackReview.com. I love this site. This is the headline from them. It's great. Charles Barkley threatens to punch Black Trump supporters in the face. They're lining up. Okay? I want to just read some of the stuff. You guys ever watch or listen to David Webb on Patriot? He's awesome. David Webb. Okay, Charles Barkley, where do we meet? I can book a plane ticket while I'm on the air. How about this woman, Caroline? She says they think they own Black people. Who exactly is racist here? This guy, whose Twitter moniker is Suburban Black Man. What Charles Barkley and other Democrat plantation puppets must understand is that Black Americans are not afraid to support Donald Trump in 2024. Times have changed. Support for MAGA is shared by Americans of all backgrounds. We will not be bullied into groupthink voting. Wesley Hunt, he writes, Charles Barkley fell into the media's trap by taking a 2-hour speech from President Trump out of context. One thing I can guarantee is when you see Wesley Hunt sporting the mugshot, Sir Charles won't be punching this combat vet in the face. What? How about this guy? His name is Shill on the Hill. Let him say that to Trump supporter Mike Tyson. And then this guy named Wukalar, he's the one who retweeted the guy I just put out, the totally ripped guy with the MAGA shirt and hat, who said, anyone seen Charles Barkley? I heard he was looking for me. Grew up in the you hit me, I'm going to hit you back era. I'm not so sure they were ready for that. And CNN can say, oh, well, we're just going to backpedal. No, friends, MAGA's done. And it's good. It's good. Okay, now I want to transition to this. So unanimity on the Supreme Court. How do you have unanimity when you have 3 liberal justices, right? And you have 5 who are conservative, and then there's, John Roberts, who's just, I don't know. They've got naked pictures of him with someone somewhere. I don't know. But anyway, the high court says, you know what? Unanimously, you cannot take off somebody's name from a ballot. It's done by Congress. Only Congress can do that. States can't do that. Knock it off. We're done. But the 3 dissenting, of the majority, they were all in the majority. The 3 liberal Democrats were like, you know what? We're not completely 100% on board with this, but we agree with the premise and the decision. You cannot, at the state level, wave a wand and remove a person's name from the ballot. I want you to hear this delicious mashup of the desperate attempt of the media to try to spin this as it's not unanimous. It wasn't really unanimous. There's some shades of gray. Just shut up and move along. Here you go.
Call it a concurring dissent.
The court appears to the naked eye to be deciding something 9-0. But when you peel back the appearances, it's really a 5-4 decision.
The big news out of the Supreme Court's Colorado decision wasn't so much that all 9 justices ruled to keep Donald Trump on the ballot, which was expected, but that 4 justices, including Amy Coney Barrett, said the majority had gone too far.
I think it really doesn't sound quite right to say that this was unanimous when the court was so fractured over why exactly Trump should remain on the ballot.
I do want to point up the divisions. It's 5-4. This is a 5-4 ruling on part of it.
It was a 5-4 ruling when it came to the particulars of this case.
There is a split, 5-4, over whether the court should have brought Congress into the ruling. Help us understand the importance of this split.
The split is significant.
The 3 liberals in the court, it reads like a dissent.
The big sort of 5-4 split.
There's this amazing split in this particular decision.
The concurrences, which read like dissents.
It reads like a dissent.
What felt like more of a dissent, honestly, than a concurrence.
I think this was nominally a concurrence, but it had real big D energy, big dissent energy.
And it's 5-4, and notably the men versus the women, which is just a remarkable split.
I think it is encouraging that you had the 4 women basically saying, show restraint here.
I also think it's not an accident that it's the women who are taking the position that this is really a question of institutional integrity.
The 3 liberals' separate opinion was actually styled as a concurrence, but I looked at the metadata in the decision, and it was originally styled as a dissent.
And it seemed that the way that the decision was originally put out, it was put out like a dissent, but that they put it out as a concurrence.
Always read the dissent. That is my shorthand summary, and always watch what the court is doing.
Concurrence. It's a concurrence.
The concurrence, yeah.
It purports to be a concurrence in this case, so you got to read it all.
You got to read it all.
You got to read it all. You got to pass it to see what's in it. Oh, it seems like they all got the same talking points. Isn't that so neat? Isn't that so cool when you see how that happens? It all kind of comes together and hits you in the face, and you're like, huh. They're all saying the same thing. Oh, I know. We shouldn't have this much fun calling them out for sucking as much as they do. But they do. This is a threat to democracy. To tell you what something is or isn't. To tell you how to feel. To tell you how to vote. To tell you how to raise your children. To tell you what you should do with that baby growing inside of you. To tell you all of this, there has been a cataclysmic shift in the Democrat Party. The people they used to represent, I wonder if they ever actually did, or if it's always been one giant con. The fact of the matter is, when you put people in danger, when you make them feel unsafe, when you threaten their livelihoods, when you threaten their children, when you put the greatest generation in danger, and when you make things unaffordable and absolutely, maddeningly inconvenient, you wake up a lot of people from that trance, my friends. So glad you've been here with us. Come on back tomorrow. The Wendy Bell Radio program continues in 21 hours. Peace.